Welcome into another live stream here on Zion Media. Do you like that radio voice, everybody?
It's good.
I'm
That's real
here
good.
with I'm here with Latter-day Chad and Justin Riggs, and we are excited. It's kind of wild. I don't think LDS podcasters can stop talking about us. I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've certainly seen a lot of screenshots of group chats of certain individuals talking about Zion Media and myself. So, hate us because they ain't us, maybe. I don't know. But it's
Totally.
very interesting. We're going to be reacting to a video today. And I would like to, just formally invite Rise Zion if he wants to have me on his channel to talk about this topic, or Justin Riggs. I'm sure either of us would be willing to go on there. Zion Media seems to be the only people willing to have us on. Everyone else is too scared of our opinions. But we're going to be talking about Gordon Bowen. So Rise Zion just did a video about Gordon Bowen last night. And honestly, I think he's more sincere than most of the people on this topic, because
Really?
most people aren't even willing to talk about Gordon Bowen. He was at the very least willing to talk about the subject, and I would hope that he's willing to watch this video and listen to the points I make. And Justin, obviously, Justin's the main researcher. He's the guy who knows all the stuff about Gordon Bowen. Because here's one thing I would say. You have to be a conspiracy theorist to not think that Gordon Bowen's a pedophile. That's what I'm going to say. Like, you have to be a conspiracy theorist to not think that Gordon Bowen is a pedophile and that there's actually overwhelming evidence. So I would think that that Rise Zion actually just probably didn't do a lot of research, right? He probably didn't dig that deep. But at the very least, he was willing to talk about this topic.
So we're gonna get into that too. But before we do, I'd like to actually pop in and talk real quick, as we are just still getting started. We've got 66 people on the live stream. This is a pretty important topic. I'd like to let a few more folks get in to this interesting live stream we're going to cover. And in the meantime, I'm going to actually talk about a little bit of Oracle code. So the reason why is because we just released a new feature. In fact, we changed a couple things. First, I'm going to share my screen real quick. Is I've got on Oracle code a one major change. We are no longer talking about tokens. We are now talking about oil. So when folks are actually, when they were getting tokens, they would get a collection of tokens, but now they're actually getting oil. The goal is to keep your oil lamp full. And it's a little bit more prophetic. It's a little bit more tied to scripture. And I'm sorry, man. My lights are like horrible because I've got like this shining on me. Maybe I'm just like, I don't know, an angel. I don't know if you would consider it. Anyway, so we're no longer calling it tokens. We're calling it oil. So drops of oil. So you want to get that drip. Sorry, just for the lingo for the young kids. And then there's a couple other new things. For instance, one, we have a new way to be able to get a blessing. Let's see here. There's one other thing I wanted to bring up too, and that is, oh yeah, I do want to make mention. So this is probably one of my favorite parts about the Oracle code, is that we actually can be able to donate a lifetime. Well, right now, the last time I saw, there is about 7 lifetimes that are actually 7 people that have not received a lifetime yet. And so there's like 7 people that are on the list. Let's see if I can't even find this. There's so many features. I'm getting lost. Does anybody else have a
question, David?
Yeah, what's up?
Do you think that an Oracle code blessing would be able to cure Gordon Bowen of his gay female spirits that make him want to have sex with male prostitutes? Do you think that's possible? Do you think that Gordon Bowen would be interested in that? Because according to Gordon Bowen's journals, he's possessed by female spirits that make him hire gay prostitutes.
This is how Chad hijacks live streams.
I think I'm making it more entertaining.
Yeah, certainly. making it interesting for sure. So yeah, last time for your answer, if you're that invested, I would say that he might, without with being hopeful, I would say he probably needs a couple of those blessings.
He probably needs a couple. He might need his third anointing.
I wouldn't want to associate that at all with the Oracle code, but he would need maybe a couple,
He would need a couple. Well, if you guys would like to send this to Gordon Bowen, I'm sure you can find his email address online or something.
Hey, you could donate a lifetime for Gordon Bowen for sure.
Hey, I mean, if he's willing to trust David Hamblin's methods, curing him, which involve ingesting his righteous semen,
nope.
Then
so moving on real quick. This was the last thing I wanted to make sure I made mention is that you can actually we have this new feature where you can actually give the blessing yourself. So a lot of people have wondered about if they could have a way to give a healing blessing or one of the blessings that you can get in Oracle code with your own voice. Now we've made that available, and so all you have to do is do the blessing of healing, and you can pick someone that you've already done like a decode the soul of, and once you select them, then you can actually just tell them like, this is my brother right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and just say, I would love it if my brother was more open to the Book of Mormon, and I would love for him to have a blessing that is going to bring him closer to, the restored gospel and Jesus Christ. Definitely, he's got a great testimony of Jesus Christ. But I also would love it if he has any kind of back pain or any kind of ailment or any discomfort, that he could have those things healed. And so here, I've just typed that in, and so I've got my name, that I'm the one that's giving it, and I am the brother. And before we go further, this is super important. This is the thing that a lot of people who are critics of the Oracle code miss, and that is that we always make sure that someone agrees that they have faith in Jesus Christ and believe that through him this blessing can be given. It's like the white handkerchief, like Paul used to do it, Joseph Smith used to do it. Brock has faith in Jesus Christ, so yes, he does, and believes that through him they can be healed this day, and they affirm this themselves. So if I was to talk to my brother, then that's exactly what would happen, and I'd take 10 drops of that oil, that drip, and then as that's preparing, I'll let that prepare. But
so here's a question. Does it have to, like, because you said it was like in their own voice, do you have to like send to the Entropic or whatever the AI servers are to like
this doesn't use
voice?
For the voice, it doesn't use AI at all, and I'll show you how. So the beauty about this, like if you wanted it to be in your voice, what we're doing is we have made it so that you can be able to record your own voice reading this blessing. And the reason why we did this is because, one, it gives you the structure of how you can give a blessing. So that this is the biggest part of it, is a lot of folks wonder, like, how am I going to give? A lot of people aren't really confident in their own ability to give a blessing. Well, we will generate the words for a person, and with the help of Abel, and then they can go ahead and read the blessing while recording themselves, and that's what really will make it in their own voice. And so we'll let this generate. We can come back to this a little bit later. There you go. So find a quiet moment, and you can find that moment with your friend or family member. And let me just zoom into here. And yeah, these are the words that you're going to speak over Brock. So my blessing is ready. So receive the blessing, and I can start recording. I can record it in my own voice, and I can read these words. And I can do this as many times as I want with my oil drops. But I just wanted everybody to know that this is something that we've added, and it allows you to be able to have that blessing in their own voice. And so, again, remember, there's about 7 people who are waiting for a donate a lifetime. Thank you so much for those that put it towards someone else having this blessing of the Oracle code. It's definitely changed their lives. And I think I might take some time to read some testimonies later. But let's go ahead and pop right into a little bit more into Rise Zion, and then respond.
Well, now I think Rise Zion's going to do a video on Oracle code instead of Gordon Bowen.
Well, I sure hope he does. Dude, I made such a bomb video. I was trying to get out before this live stream. I'm going to release it tomorrow morning. So it's like it takes everything that Justin Riggs has put together, everything that Lynn Packard's put together, and it's so clean.
Well, Dave, do you have the videos I sent you to play?
Yeah, I'll pull those up. So go ahead and talk.
I mean, I would have preferred to do this like right at the beginning, so whoever's clicking on the video sees this right away. But here are some of Gordon Bowen's homoerotic stories that he wrote. Can you pull that up then? Or?
Yeah, they're not locked and loaded yet. I've got one I'm pulling up right now. Oh, you know what? I don't think, dude, this is like, it's pulling up sideways. That's weird. Dude.
While we're waiting, let me just say a couple things if I could.
Yeah, please.
First of all, I just want to thank Rise Zion for taking this on. You've got Ward Radio, who's been running from this for months. You've got Latter Daily Saints, who's been running from this for months. You've got Jacob Hansen, who won't come anywhere near this. And so I do want to just
save your script.
Go ahead.
I do just want to thank Rise Zion for taking this on. I think it shows a lot of integrity. And I think also I need to offer just a quick little apology. I've been over there in the comments section, and I've been doing this for like 3.5 years now. And I don't have a ton of patience for people who want to make me their research monkey. And who say things like, where's the proof? And show me the proof and go get me the proof. And so, but I do want to apologize for my tone over there in the comment section. My Twitter personality has come out over there. And so I'm hoping tonight I can show a little bit of a better side of myself, and we can go through these claims that they made over there sort of one by one. So that's my hope. So,
dude, now no one can say that you're a narcissist because you're willing to apologize.
Hey, great. I'm glad to get that off the plate.
But that's awesome. I mean, honestly, I have a little harder time saying sorry. So, but we've got those videos up. Chad, are you ready?
Dearest Savior script for Barbara and Jesus, my only true love. It's in 1992. There it is. Open with a child, long blonde hair, blue eyes. She is in prison. As far as I can see are thousands of adult men naked. All have extremely small penises, but they are fixated on them. In fact, all are doing exercises of some kind or another to make them larger. Do you remember that, writing that?
I don't.
Is that not your writing?
Yes, it is.
Interesting, right? So to set the stage here really quickly, just so everybody understands, this is a deposition that was taken with Gordon Bowen during his divorce case. So one of the things that Rise Zion kept pointing out is this wasn't put into court, blah, 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 blah. But we do have these depositions, and I'll address this other claim about it not being court documents and so on and so forth later. But everybody needs to understand this isn't just some random person reading this story to Gordon Bowen. This is a lawyer deposing Gordon Bowen for the purpose of the divorce case that he was involved in for almost 8 years. So yeah. Did we lose Chad?
No, I'm just going to go get a banana, but play the next video, because here's the point I think is very important. Here, make me big.
Yeah, I don't know what you're doing, Chad.
All right. So here's something I would like to point out is the fact of the matter is he's asking, where's the evidence? It's just accusations, all this stuff. Here we have Gordon Bowen on tape admitting that this homoerotic story that involves what he described was a little girl in a cage surrounded by men who are stretching their penises, right? This is a man who's accused of molesting young children, writing stories about children in cages surrounded by men stretching their penises, which you could be like, oh, well, at the very least, that's weird, right? And we're going to get more into the evidence. For example, in the court documents, Gordon Bowen, in his own journal entries, the voice of God in his head, as he claims it is, tells him that his stepson, who accused him of molesting him, both of his stepsons separately accused him of molesting them, has a sexual desire towards him. So he's hearing this voice in his head. It's saying, your stepson so-and-so, I'm going to leave out the victim names, has a sexual desire towards you and needs hard masculine love. And then that stepson then accuses Gordon of molesting him. So this is a man writing homoerotic stories about children. His stepchildren are accusing him of molesting them. And then, his own journal entries are talking about said stepson in a sexual manner. So again, you have to be a conspiracy theorist to not believe Gordon Bowen's a pedophile, I would say.
The second story, Bowen titled The Holy Dream. He was also...
And so, for starters, this story gets more explicit. It talks about little children touching him in his hidden places. I wonder what that could be. But he also sexually fantasizes about Jesus Christ in this story.
You know, this video sounds like a general conference talk.
Well, Lynn Packer is related to Boyd K. Packer. So.
Yeah, maybe he learned it from his uncle. Maybe he got general conference voice from Boyd.
All right, so let's
ask about it during his deposition. It's a story about Jesus riding a horse. There's a scripture in the Old Testament about Jesus riding a white horse, but Bowen's story has him riding a black horse. Here's the storyline. A voice tells a boy child he needs to cross a treacherous ravine to find hidden treasure, gold on the other side. In the ravine below, he sees a river of blood with millions of heads bobbing to the surface, disemboweled, disembodied, but very much alive. The voice says, you must cross the ravine now. Make the leap of faith. Jesus will carry you. Just come to me, Jesus, right on my back. We will cross the chasm together. The story describes a juicy, naked, engorged Jesus mounting a black horse, wrapping his bare thighs around the hairy mane. It seems that Bowen's story infers at times he's the horse that Jesus mounted. The horse says or thinks, I'm ready for this eternal rider. Rub me, mount me. Then he writes, and this is copied from the script, children run forward. There are hundreds of them, but a chosen few, come forward with outstretched arms and begin to stroke me, touch all my hidden places, the tingling tenderness. I feel overwhelmed with awe.
So here we have Gordon Bowen having a homoerotic fantasy about Jesus Christ. So let's take the pedophilia stuff out of it for a second. Do you think that somebody who is sexually fantasizing about Jesus Christ should have anything to do with the Temple Open House? Just that alone.
Right. So let's just give an example. Like when I was growing up, there was a story that was often told about Spencer W. Kimball in the hospital being wheeled into an operating room, and a doctor used the name of the Lord in vain. And Spencer Kimball, like as he's being rolled into surgery, stops and says, please don't say that. That is my Lord and Savior. Okay. So like I grew up with like, we should reverence the name of Jesus Christ to that extent where we're being wheeled into a hospital for an operation. And if somebody uses the Lord's name in vain, we should stand up for the Lord. And we also have to remember that these men all claim to be special witnesses of the name of Jesus Christ. And so to your point, Chad, I think the question that people need to ask is, so like Rise Zion wants to make it about, well, Gordon Bowen hasn't been convicted of abuse, so you should just go back to sleep. And I want to say that that's never been the discussion, okay? The discussion is, should the brethren, we have documented that over a dozen prophets and apostles and over 20 general church leaders have affiliated with, gone to dinner with, gone to Christmas parties at Gordon Bowen's house, and of course employed him. And the question is, should leaders of the church be doing that? And I think the Standard Works teaches very clearly that these men are supposed to avoid even the very appearance of evil. Okay. And at the very least, Gordon Bowen fits the bill for the appearance of evil, right?
Yeah. And again, so I'm trying to pull up a screenshot of this stuff. Would you mind going over the 40 witnesses about it? Because this is something you've said a lot, is that you have to be a conspiracy theorist to think that Gordon Bowen's not a sexual abuser, and how 40 people conspiring, that sort of argument you've made.
So let me try to roll that into some of the claims that Rise Zion made as well. So one of the things that we need to really address right up front is they keep saying over and over, give me a case number, right? Was this adjudicated in front of a judge? So on and so forth. And so I want to be really clear about what's up on Gordon Bowen, courtdocuments.com. Okay. What you have up there are many affidavits that were sworn out under the penalty of perjury. Okay. You have other just sworn statements. You have the majority of this comes from Lynn Packer. Okay. So another thing is they're trying to say, oh, these documents haven't been authenticated. But if you're going to say that, then what you have to acknowledge is that the University of Utah accepted a private collection that they didn't authenticate, and that they're putting out conspiracy theory documents from the Marriott Library at the University of Utah. So if you want to take that position, you're free to take that position, but I would argue that it's not a very strong position to take, okay? But the majority of the documents in that collection are Lynn Packer documents, which he put up, thanks, David, which he put into the library in a private collection, and only part of them is Gordon Bowen documents, okay? The reason that Lynn Packer has these documents is that he was a trial consultant for Barbara Bowen during her divorce case. And so he was compiling all of the evidence that was going to be put into the divorce case to try to help Barbara in terms of the things that happen in a divorce, which are largely about custody and the splitting of assets, okay, and debts. So a lot of what we have there is just Lynn Packer's notes and Lynn Packer's compilations of information from the various affidavits and statements that were made. And then one of the biggest things that we have there is that there was going to be a civil case filed against Gordon Bowen as it related to the alleged abuse that he committed against his children and stepchildren. And so that is a court document, but it was never filed with the court. The reason it was never filed with the court is that Gordon Bowen completely wore out his ex-wife, Barbara Timothy, by stretching the divorce case out for almost 8 years. And it cost millions of dollars to go through a divorce case. Okay. By the time that they were done, this woman was broke and exhausted. Okay. Not only that, but back in the day, when a woman would accuse a man of abuse in a divorce case, like 80% or something along those lines of women would lose custody to their children. And that was something that was threatened in this case. And so that case was never filed. Also, there was concern about putting the children up on the stand to testify. These were very young children, a couple of them at the time. And so there was concern about that. So this demand that the case be adjudicated is not a standard that Mormon podcasters hold to their own religion. Nobody demands that when Joseph Smith claims that a teenage girl should marry him, that Joseph has to prove in a court of law that an angel appeared to him and told him that this was the case. It's a defense mechanism that Mormon podcasters use because they're scared to examine the evidence and come to a conclusion that leads to the fact that their leaders have engaged in immoral, unethical, and sometimes illegal behavior.
And
I
understand.
So
let
here's
me
just one thing.
hold on. I just want to just interject here. It also doesn't mean that the Book of Mormon and the Church of Jesus Christ, the Latter-day Saints, and Joseph Smith are not true. Like the Book of Mormon is still true. Joseph Smith is still a prophet, and this is still the Lord's church.
So what's the standard, David? Like for perceiving truth in the gospel of Jesus Christ, who reveals truth to us?
Well, first off, the Holy Ghost. That's the factor, is that we as members, and see, this is the position of Zion Media, and this is not for you, Justin. I love you. You're freaking amazing, dude. But the factor is that for podcasters like, all the people who don't want to touch this, and for Rise Zion Seth, the church is still true. It can be true even with all this stuff. But the thing that you need to understand is the scriptures are 100% true. When Section 101 talks about the watchman, you need to pay attention. When Jesus gives the parable of the wheat and the tares, you need to pay attention. When Jesus comes to the Nephites and says that when the fullness of the gospel comes and the Gentiles are about to reject it, you need to take it seriously. Even section 28, even section 85, Isaiah 28. It's in the scriptures. We've been warned. For those that are faithful, Latter-day Saints, you need to realize the scriptures have been warning you that this stuff is going to happen. And you better have a oil lamp full, not, I mean, although you can definitely, I was going to make a stupid joke, but my point is you need to have an oil lamp full of your testimony.
Well, Dave, would you mind pulling up the image I just sent you over text?
Yeah, I've got it locked and loaded.
Here's a point, and this is something I was talking a little bit about Justin Riggs too on the way here. I was talking about the various opinions of the church, of people, not that image, not them at Disneyland, the image from the court documents I sent you. I sent you a screenshot of some of the court documents.
This last one.
Yeah, at the very bottom.
Yeah, gotcha.
So when I first got into contact with the Zion Media thing, Shane's always been much more optimistic towards the church. We've always known that there's problems. For me, it's like the only people that would even talk about these problems, again, were Zion Media. Shane's much more optimistic in believing that, the church will repent. Trevor wasn't as optimistic, thinking like these guys have done a lot of bad things. And as I've interacted with more and more members of the church, I've began to be more pessimistic in that. So let's zoom out on that a little bit. So here we have from the court documents.
Hey, you talked about Shane and Trevor. I'm going to let you know, for me,
you're very optimistic. I can tell.
I'd rather burn the field.
You'd rather burn the field?
I would willingly burn the field.
Yeah. Well.
Okay.
So here we have from the court documents, the voice in Gordon Bowen's head, the same one that tells him, by the way, he is foreordained to learn the signs and tokens of secret combinations, which is going to be important when we talk about the idea of ritual abuse in this case, is telling him that his stepson has a sexual desire towards him and that he needs hard masculine love from Gordon.
It's funny. I remember Rise Zion talking about hard. I think love and hard in the same sentence, actually.
Well, down here we have the same stepson who is accusing Gordon Bowen of molesting him, that Gordon essentially walked in on him watching pornography, and then Gordon comes and begins to, help him out, I saw someone in the comments talking about hold tight to the rod. Well, it seems like Gordon took that the wrong way, to say the least. Now, you have to be a conspiracy theorist to think that Gordon Bowen is writing we have video of Gordon Bowen acknowledging that the erotic screenplays that involve children, including children touching him in his hidden places, whatever that means, he's acknowledging that that's his handwriting, even though he claims he doesn't remember writing it, which may be based on the fact that Tom Harrison here is saying that Gordon likely suffers from a dissociative personality disorder, right? Which would explain the blacking out. If he truly doesn't remember and he's not making excuses, we then have his stepson down here accusing him of molesting him, and Gordon's own journal entries talking about said stepson in a sexual manner. You have to be a conspiracy theorist to think that he didn't molest his stepson. Like, that is overwhelming evidence right there. Like, who writes stories about little children touching them in their hidden places if you're not a pedophile? Who? Like, and so that is one thing I would like to get across, is that you have to be conspiracy theorists to think that Gordon Bowen is not a pedophile. In fact, Justin, you've said that you have evidence and proof that his excommunication had to do with pedophilia, right?
I do.
Do you like to expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, so that's a challenge, right? Because those who are skeptical are not going to accept this in any way, shape, or form. But the fact is, I have documents that other people don't have access to. And I have information that other people don't have. And I understand that because I'm an excommunicated member of the church, that a lot of people are going to reject me out of hand, which I don't necessarily think is fair, but I accept it and I understand it. But yeah, it's very clear that Gordon Bowen was excommunicated from the church in part, not all because of, but in part because of the concerns about pedophilia. Okay. And he was very upset with that, the fact that he had been accused of that. So there's also the fact that he had called male escort services over 1,500 times, including during times when he had custody of his youngest daughter. Well, I'm not going to say her name, but so like there was a lot of reasons that Gordon Bowen got excommunicated. He also stole money from Bonneville Communications. That's in these documents. His boss, like he was padding his expense reports. So like you can pretend that these documents don't matter because they never got filed in a court case or a judge never adjudicated it. But that is an unreasonable standard that Mormon podcasters put out there so that they don't have to deal with the realities that 40 people gave their testimonies about who Gordon Bowen was and the kinds of behaviors that Gordon Bowen engaged in. 9 medical professionals offered their opinions on what was going on between Gordon Bowen and his children. And every single one of them stated that Gordon Bowen was a danger to those children and recommended that he not have custody. Okay. Yeah. So to Chad's point, who's acting like the conspiracy theorist? Do you honestly believe that 49 different people got together one day and said, you know what we should do? We should ruin Gordon Bowen's life, and we should all make up stories that just happen to corroborate each other about him stealing work and about him laying in bed with us and having us come over to his house, and all of a sudden there's only one bed available, and we should make up stories, and we should we're just going to ruin Gordon. Okay, what's more conspiratorial, believing that or just reading the documents and understanding that many of these people who had temple recommends were probably telling the truth about Gordon Bowen? We're talking about like Michael McLean. Okay, Michael McLean, the guy who like they sell his books and music in Deseret Book. He bears a testimony in here. Okay.
Yeah. And so here we have from the court documents. Again, this is in the University of Utah's archives at the University of Utah. The voice in Gordon's head, which again, Tom Harrison, who was a therapist that worked for the church and was friends with various apostles, examined Gordon and his children and stepchildren. And he concluded that Gordon likely had multiple personality disorder, dissociative personality disorder. Here is the voice in Gordon's head that he's writing on the journals. You are a chosen son. You have a conduit of evil spirits that are legion, not a few, but a battalion sent to destroy your work and works. Your sins were foreordained so that you could learn the secret combinations, words, signs, oaths, and songs. So, according to Gordon Bowen's own handwriting, he has learned the signs and tokens of secret combinations.
Okay, wait. I wanna stop you here because I think I've addressed this one time, but this is another case where I have access to more information than other people. Okay, so let's be really explicit about what's happening here. Gordon Bowen was told by a therapist by the name of Mel Fish that he should journal, and in that journal he should ask God a question and pay attention to what came back to him, and that God, whatever he felt, was God speaking back to him. So this is God's voice. In the actual journal, you can see it because he puts God's voice it's in capital letters. Okay, so this is God saying that, and I just need to tell people that this is what's said. But the very next thing that Gordon Bowen says is, "Oh yeah, thank you for that person who said no children. That's incredibly important." But Gordon Bowen says, "I haven't learned them yet." Now, from what we have here, it looks like he did because it says you could learn, and it's in the past tense. But in the actual document itself, we have to be honest about the fact that Gordon Bowen says, I haven't learned them yet. And then God says, like, you haven't come to that point in your healing yet. Okay. So the fact, though, is that Gordon Bowen is fascinated with secret combinations. He's fascinated with ritual abuse. That's in the journal, and that's not part of these documents. But he talks about how God tells him that all the abuse is satanic, but the ritual abuse is different in its power and potency. And we need to start asking ourselves, why is Gordon Bowen fascinated with these topics? And why does he think that God is telling him that he's going to learn these things and that he's going to destroy his wife, who's going to be in jail for abusing the children, and that she's possessed by evil spirits, like a la Jody Hildebrandt kind of baloney, right?
Yeah. And so now we get into the topic, because we've already established that there's overwhelming evidence Gordon Bowen is a pedophile, right? Let's say hypothetically, he didn't molest his kids, but he's writing about sexual things about children in a journal. He's talking about little children touching him in his hidden places, not a journal, in a screenplay, my bad. The ritual abuse claims mostly come from the David Hamblin case. Now, David Hamblin was accused by his daughters of ritualistically abusing them. And that was a big scandal. It's the one that involved David Levitt and all this stuff. And we've touched about this a little bit. But most notably, here, pause that. They claim that Gordon Bowen is a high-ranking figure in this satanic cult that has infiltrated the LDS Church, that is secretly working within it, essentially a secret combination, right? And they accuse Gordon Bowen of raping them, right? I think it's also worth noting that Tom Harrison, the therapist who examined Gordon Bowen's children, did conclude that they had been molested. For example, there were accounts, various disturbing things that I don't know if we should go into about the behavior of his children who were toddlers, acting out in very sexual ways, very compulsively, where they couldn't even go a few minutes without doing this bizarre sexual behavior that was consistent with being molested. There was also reports of Gordon Bowen sleeping naked with his children, I believe, in those documents. And Tom Harrison and other people who examined his children concluded, yes, he had molested them. Yes, he had abused them. Yes, he was a danger to them, right? Now, he's also accused of ritualistic abuse by David Hamblin's daughters. And for context, David Hamblin, and you can look this up, this is all public information, he lost his therapist license for sexually abusing female patients and male patients. In doing a lot of very bizarre things, David Hamblin I had one of his victims actually, who is mentioned in these reports, comment on my video about David Hamblin, right? And I showed you this. There's also reports that came through that David Hamblin was having his patients have sex with his daughters, right? He was having gay patients have sex with his daughters to cure their homosexuality, allegedly. And there's a lot of evidence of this stuff. He was friends with Gordon Bowen for years. He's actually as statements from him are in the Gordon Bowen divorce proceeding, where he's basically saying that because of Gordon's friendship with church leadership, they didn't want to excommunicate him, and that they were forced to because Barbara had exposed his homosexuality after she came forward with the evidence that he had called a male escort service 1,000 times while watching their infant daughter, right?
Right. And so it wasn't so much friends. It was literally David Hamblin was Gordon Bowen's therapist on and off for 30 years. And this brings up some really interesting questions that I don't think we should really go into tonight. But what people need to recognize is that the church knew about both David Hamblin and Gordon Bowen, and they knew about David Hamblin's abuse of his daughters, which was found by clear and convincing evidence in a court case. Anybody can go find those documents on Investigations in Ritual Abuse, Goel's site. And those are actual court documents with a court case that wasn't sealed. And the church knew about these. And my guess is if we went and we were able to open up Kurt and McConkie records, what we would find is that neither of those cases were reported properly through the church's abuse hotline system. Okay. But you have to think, if David Hamblin was Gordon Bowen's therapist for 30 years, and we know how David Hamblin was treating his patients, what was going on behind closed doors between David Hamblin and Gordon Bowen?
Yeah. And here's another thing as well. The reason I call them friends, not because obviously there's this professional relationship, is the fact that David Hamblin is talking to Gordon Bowen's stepsons in the court case. He's saying, hey, your stepfather is innocent. Your real father who died, he is the one guilty. He's the one that sexually abused you, not your stepfather. And trying to convince him this, and then saying your stepfather's a righteous man, all this stuff. And basically David Hamblin tells the stepsons that the only reason Gordon Bowen is being excommunicated, that the brethren did not want to excommunicate him, is because their mother exposed his homosexuality. So it shows that there's more than just a professional relationship if David Hamblin is interacting with Gordon Bowen's stepsons. Now, David Hamblin's daughters allege that there is this occult group operating that they call the group or the Church of Satan, that they believe in LDS theology, but they believe they're basically serving Satan, that they were people who were on Satan's side in the pre-existence, but that they chose to come down here and pretend to follow Jesus so they could gain bodies and sabotage things, essentially. Right? And there's a big complex theology of what they claim. But here's the thing. David Hamblin is on tape not only admitting to raping the daughters that accused both him and known pedophile Gordon Bowen,
a daughter, not the daughters, a daughter, yep.
A daughter, but he acknowledges the existence of this cult. So if you'd like to play that.
Sweetheart, I'm sorry for raping you.
Thanks, Dad. I can't believe I'm talking to you. It's been so long.
Yeah, I didn't imagine it.
Like a different part of you, did it?
Yeah, I think that the cult has a way of splitting off a part of somebody and creating a sub-spiritual entity inside of you, made up of you and other spirits, that is capable of coming out without the host's awareness and acting out like this. I know that's the case.
So
it's interesting. Before you go on that, what's interesting is our Live in Virtue trainings have revealed this, is that, and we've learned it actually not just from that, but it's I think it's common knowledge now. I don't know how common, but it's becoming more aware that you can split a spirit or a personality, and that personality can be completely different than other personalities you have.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too much into this in this video because I'm going to be working on a documentary that I'm going to put on, because I'm going to comment on this. I am going to be making my own content on my own channel, and this documentary is going to be on Zion Media and on my own channel because you can collaborate with them and stuff. But I'm making a documentary about where this infiltration and stuff comes from. But there is evidence that there is occult tactics that purposefully, through trauma. And here's the thing. You don't have to believe it's literally evil spirits, but the science has shown that trauma literally can disassociate someone's personality and cause a mental fracture where they disassociate to protect them. And the idea with this is that certain groups will use this to create an alter personality, right? This is substantial when we talk about Gordon Bowen, because again, Tom Harrison said that Gordon Bowen seemed to have a dissociative personality. David Hamblin on that same phone call, because it's a 40-minute phone call, I just clipped the two most important parts of it, which maybe I'll do a whole thing uploading just a video of the whole phone call. And that might get views if I upload that on my channel, the whole phone call with captions. David Hamblin claims that he knew a person who was a part of this cult group, the Church of Satan, that they disassociated, raped their daughter, who was a little girl, and her friend, and then snapped back into it, and they were freaking out because they're like, what happened? Someone raped you. Like, they didn't remember actually doing it. And so when Gordon Bowen is on video and there's these homoerotic stories involving Jesus and little children, and he's claiming, I don't remember writing that, but acknowledging that it's his handwriting, which, let's play that clip again real quick.
Gordon's Dearest Savior script. For Barbara and Jesus, my only true loves. It's in 1992. There it is. Open with a child, long blonde hair, blue eyes. She is in prison. As far as I can see are thousands of adult men naked. All have extremely small penises, but they are fixated on them. In fact, all are doing exercises of some kind or another to make them larger. Do you remember that, writing that?
I don't.
Is that not your writing?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so here we have Gordon claiming to have a lapse in memory. Now, you could say that's an excuse, but again, Tom Harrison said it was likely that he had a dissociative personality disorder. Then we have David Hamblin, who is claiming that this group that Gordon is allegedly a part of, this ritualistic abuse ring, what they do is they purposefully split off a portion of somebody, and that other portion engages in the ritualistic abuse, right? And so that could make sense in this context where it's like Gordon's like, yeah, that's my handwriting, but I don't remember doing that, where there might legitimately be two Gordon Bowens. There might be this side of him that disassociates and is completely innocent from this stuff, has no idea what's going on, and then this other part that can snap at any moment and molests people and does these horrible things.
Josh Aaron says that there's millions of Gordon Bowens in this country. Bet. Yeah, there are millions of Gordon Bowens in this country, but There's only one that has led the Salt Lake Temple Open House for 2027.
Has claimed to lead it. He took back that.
Right.
Well,
Yeah. Let's be really careful about that.
Well, let me at least. I'm not quoting Gordon Bowen. I'm quoting the American Advertising Federation.
But we have to be careful because these lawyers are playing technicality games and they're going to jump on us, right? We can't just say stuff willy-nilly. We have to be very careful with what we're saying, or else we can screw up this whole thing, right? That's why I'm not really doing these videos alone. I want Justin Riggs on because he knows all this stuff and he can catch me if I get something wrong, right? Even though I do have
if I can keep up with you, Chad, if I can keep up.
And so can you pull up a video from Instagram and it'll play with audio?
Yeah, if you give me
I'm gonna send one of my reels because it's easier to, rather than pulling up all these different things, to play this video about his involvement in the Temple Open House. I'm gonna send you 2 videos. I'm pulling up one.
Okay, while you're doing that, Chad, let me just chat real quick. So because I want to address this, because this is a major point that Seth, you said is his name, that Seth tries to make last night. And he talks about, he shows his IT skills and shows how the American Advertising Federation website, you can edit the HTML and make it look like it says anything that you want it to. But Seth did not do his research here at all, okay? Because there's multiple problems here. Are you going to show the video, the 1 minute, 7-second video where we caught them?
I have it.
Okay.
Yeah,
maybe we should pull that up.
A few.
Okay, so but the thing is, it wasn't in the web page when we caught it. So first of all, I'm the source of that. I'm the one who found that document on the American Advertising, and it's documented on my Twitter feed from the date that we found it. Anybody can go find that. Then a couple days later, we saw them memory holing it, and it was gone from the site, but it was still in the search results. Okay. And that's the reason that was happening is because the page hadn't been cached yet. So the sentence about him being, okay, now let's be really, really specific, okay? These guys want to talk about Gordon being the creative director ad nauseum, okay? There was a mistake, and Chad owned up to this. It's on my X feed. He retracted this. He confused what Gordon Bowen said with being the creative director. What Gordon Bowen claimed is that he was leading the creative team for the Salt Lake Temple Open House, which expected X million, I can't remember the number, 5 or 7. I think it was different in different bios, but X million number of visitors in 2027, okay? So his specific claim is that he was leading the creative team. So I really want people to stop using this term creative director because that's not where the burden of proof is. The other thing is they say that it's our burden of proof to prove that he was involved, but that's not the case because Gordon Bowen is the one who made the claim, okay? Not only did he make it on the American Advertising Federation website, but here's the problem for Seth. That same verbiage is in a print. No, it's in a print. It's in a printed,
printed bio.
Yeah, physical printed bio
marketing.
For the Zion Bank speech that Seth uses as evidence, okay? So again, who's the conspiracy theorist here? Are you telling me that there was a fake website that matches a printed document that somehow they magically removed it, but it was still in the search results? Okay, like that's like wacko thinking. And I know that as members of the church, you want to defend the brethren, you want to defend the church, and that's good. That's a great impulse, but you have to do that with inside the boundaries of rationality and logic. And this argument that Seth is making is so far outside rational and logic that it's almost difficult to even address it because it's like wild-eyed. Okay, let's go ahead and look at what Chad wanted to show us here.
Yeah, there's 2 videos real quick that have I think Instagram actually removed one of my videos of evidence without my permission, and it's the one where he's on tape admitting it, and just focus on that. They removed that, and I can't find it anywhere, but it is in these 2 a little bit. So play this. Breaking news on Gordon Bowen's involvement with the Salt Lake City Temple Open House and an official statement from the church on this. So for context, Gordon Bowen is a man who was excommunicated in, I believe it was 2003, for concerns about pedophilia and other sexual things, for amongst other things. There's a lot of evidence of his pedophilia, including his own journal entries and screenplays where he talks about little children touching him in his hidden places. And he was publicly reporting that he is the lead of the Salt Lake City Temple Open House. Now, I want to retract where I said he was the creative director. I was confused by his American Advertising Federation bio, where it says he's the creative director for the Olympics, and I assumed a creative director and a creative lead are the same thing. Now, with the official statement from the church, they are saying he is not the creative director. They are not addressing whether he's involved in the project, which he publicly has said he is, and he was spotted at Disneyland for a trip related to the Salt Lake City Temple Open House with the apostles that Shauna Watts claims he was the one who set up for the apostles. Now, the real question is, and again, I retract that, why are they playing this word game with technicalities when his own American Advertising Federation, his own print bio, his own words says he's involved with this project? Well, it's because they don't want the reputation or brand of the Salt Lake City Temple Open House to be associated with knowingly hiring a pedophile. And so the real question we should be asking is he involved and why? Not is he the creative director? Because technically that's not the title of his job, whatever it is he being paid? I'd also like to note that Shauna Watts also seemingly confirmed to Justin Riggs the rumors that Elder Gong plays pickleball with Gordon Bowen. Now, Gordon Bowen and Elder Gong were also listed as associates in a particular court case a few years ago. So we knew that they had a relationship. Elder Gong's father-in-law worked with Gordon Bowen in the communications department. So the real question people have is, are the brethren aware of this stuff? Or are certain exceptions being made for people because they're their friends? That's the real question. In other news, we will also be going over on a live stream. We'll be going over this information as well as right here new, never seen before.
So while you're loading that new one, I just want to say, like, what a great video for a few reasons. Okay, first of all, like, to have the integrity to acknowledge that you made a mistake is a huge thing. And it's something that we don't see from the other side of this argument very often. And it's certainly something that we haven't seen from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints up to this point. So
well,
again,
we don't make apologies. That's what President Oak said.
I know. So the burden of proof is on Gordon Bowen in the church, because Gordon Bowen made the claim repeatedly that he's a part of the Salt Lake Temple Open House. Okay,
and
regardless
he was spotted
of
at Disneyland as
okay,
well.
So that's another reason that video is really important, is that Seth, the church just put out a statement talking about the apostles that are associated with the Salt Lake Temple Open House. Here's the names that Seth gives. Let me find it real quick here in my notes. Give me 1 second. Here we go. Okay. There's 4 apostles that are in charge of the Salt Lake Temple celebration. Elders Uchtdorf, Stevenson, Anderson, and Cook. Who are the apostles in the Disneyland picture? Uchtdorf, Stevenson, Anderson, and Cook. Okay. So there's a lot of people who wanted to say, oh, this didn't even have to do with the Temple Open House. But I think we just established that it really does have to do with the Temple Open House, because it's the same people that are in charge. Okay. Now, again, I have private information that I know that this was about the Disneyland. I
have stuff as well.
Temple Open House.
Well,
okay.
so where's that? Where is that? Is that available on the internet? What you just read?
That's from Seth's video.
It's from his show last night. Yeah, I think it probably is available. Because they made an official statement talking about the open house.
Actually, before we go to the next video, I'm going to send mine about the Disneyland one, which is actually going to give some context. So
whose show was that, Justin?
It was Seth's show last night on Rise Zion.
Oh, okay, got it.
He's very explicit about we can trust the church, and they just came out with a statement. And here are the apostles that are in charge of the Salt Lake Temple Open House, and it just so happens to corroborate with our evidence that he's there at Disneyland with the exact same people. Which would
so we're having a stick of Joseph moment a little bit, where like we know less about what's going on, and someone else corroborates what little we do know,
which has happened over and over and over again in this case, where we don't know something and somebody says something and it corroborates what we already knew. Because
Shauna Watts. So do you mind explaining who Shauna Watts is real quick?
Yeah, Shauna Watts. I feel terrible for the Watts. Shauna Watts is the wife of a man by the name of Brett Watts. Brett Watts is is a creative director of the Salt Lake Temple Open House, who reached out to me once this story started breaking to let me know that Gordon Bowen had been a part of the Temple Open House, but it was only at the very beginning of the process. Basically, Gordon and Brent went together to the church office building to make presentations, okay? So Shauna is Brent Watts's wife, and she came onto your feed, Chad, and started chirping about how Gordon Bowen is has a testimony of the Jesus Christ and wants to help the church, and he's not getting paid for this, and so on and so forth. And so I've had lots of conversations with Shauna and a few conversations with Brent, and Brent let me put him on the record saying that Gordon Bowen had been a part of the Salt Lake Temple Open House very early in the process. The problem with what Brent told me is that we also have sources inside of his company, which is called Struck. And the Struck employees were telling us that Gordon Bowen had been present at many meetings, including meetings that were only like a month before we started breaking this news. I gave Brent Watts the opportunity to deny that. And I told him I would print a denial from him if he wanted me to. And he refused to make a comment on that. So,
Yeah,
I'll let people decide what they want to believe about that.
Yeah. I'm trying
That's
to find
weird.
we have
Why
a
would
screenshot.
you why would you not want to deny something, even if
Probably because it's true.
Well, that's weird. Why would you stick with something that's probably true? These folks, they just seem like they're deceivers. And I mean, why wouldn't they go even further and just say, yeah, I deny that?
Sure. Well, it's the same question with why did the church put out the letter that they put out? Okay. Seth spends a lot of time trying to say that letter is professional and that it addresses the issue exactly, but it doesn't address the issue exactly. I don't know if we're going to go over that, Chad, but that letter tells 3 very specific lies of omission.
They refused to deny his involvement in the Temple Open House. They said his alleged involvement, so they neither confirmed nor denied if he was involved.
What I find bonkers is that, and bless that, because I'm just thinking, dude, the problem of what's going on is that some members like Seth wouldn't think that there's people that would use the name of Jesus Christ wrong. They wouldn't use the name of the Church of Jesus Christ wrong. So these documents, these letters on the church's letterhead could be used by tares of the church, trying to defend or trying to dismiss. And the brethren, the brethren give access to many people around the world to that name to write letters. And so it's just interesting that, it's like, oh, well, Church of Jesus Christ, a lot of things.
So
as long as they
real quick,
swear allegiance, then that allegiance proves that they'll never use the name wrong.
Justin, real quick, do you happen to have the screenshot? So we have a screenshot of Shauna Watts claiming that Gordon Bowen paid for the Disneyland trip on his own dime, confirming that is Gordon Bowen in the picture by somebody who's involved in the project and who personally knows Gordon Bowen. While you're looking for that, David, do you mind pulling up the last video I sent, the one where my hair's kind of combed over and I look like Joseph Smith?
I don't have that one.
I sent you a link. I sent you a link from my Instagram.
Yes, except the only thing is, Chad, is you tell me last minute. I don't know if you're aware of that.
No, I told you I'm going to have something to pull up. So it's a link to my Instagram.
And let me show you what I have
pulled up. You guys sound like a married
couple.
You guys sound like a married couple.
This is what I have pulled up, Chad.
Okay, that one we're going to do that one after, but I want to have the Disneyland one next.
Just saying. Okay.
Hey, just while we're on the topic of Disneyland, I want my Disneyland video played.
Yeah. Well, and just a reminder, I've been doing this for 2 years, and I'm finally just like, hey, come on, be a little bit more prepared if you're going to ask me to pull stuff up. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
So why was Gordon Bowen spotted at Disneyland with church leadership? Why has he been paid millions and millions of dollars over the course of the past 40 years to do projects for the church, despite the very horrible things
spooky Jonah Barnes
he has done
there
and been accused of?
Oh yeah, you got Jonah Barnes involved now.
Yeah, he actually did the editing.
The background music. Wow.
Yeah, what if Mommy ordered something that's actually for Mommy only?
Well, for one, the reason why they were at Disneyland is actually because the Salt Lake City Temple Open House is apparently modeled after Disneyland, the one that he's being paid to direct.
President Uchtdorf went down to Disney before trying to create this whole experience that you'll have when the temple is open, to make sure it's just a wonderful place for.
So that's why they were there that day, because he's in charge of the whole Temple Square thing for the Salt Lake City Temple Open House. Second, it appears to be very personal. So for starters, he had various notable people at his wedding, such as James E. Faust, such as Gordon B. Hinckley, and according to the court documents, he was pressured by church leadership to marry a woman to hide the fact that he was gay. And that's why he was marrying Barbara. And so this seems to be mostly based on, a personal relationship and being a close associate working for years. But there's also the fact that in his own journal entries, the voice of God in his head is telling him that his stepson, who accused him of very graphic molestation, needs hard masculine love for him and has a sexual attraction to him. So that's what the voice in his head is telling him. This is in his own journal entries, the same son who accused him of molesting him. There's the fact that in his journal entries, he describes learning the signs and tokens of secret combinations. And there's various much more graphic and very disturbing things in there, including things involving his daughter, who was a toddler at the time of this court case. And he seems to have spent millions of dollars to get everybody who was involved in that court case to sign an NDA. The one person who refused to was Lynn Packer, who did a whole expose on Gordon Bowen, where he showed that Gordon was being paid around $20 million, it was reported, to direct a now canceled Jesus Christ movie. And when Elder Ballard was warned that we can't be associated with this child molester, I believe they said it was, his secretary, I don't know if the message actually really got to Elder Ballard, said, "We are keeping an eye on him." Now, this stuff is just sort of the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more disturbing stuff, including allegations of a dead body in his house, ongoing human trafficking case.
I'm going to be frank. This is very sad, Chad. It's just too much. It's too much. Is there anything else?
The eerie music in the background.
The third video,
yes,
the other video that you had up before, I just want to do that on the. So while you're pulling up on the topic of Disneyland, so do you have the screenshot from Shauna Watts where she's admitting his involvement? I know I have it in one of my videos.
I have it, but I don't have it available for tonight.
Okay, I think it's in this video somewhere. But Shauna Watts, we have a screenshot. We have proof of her acknowledging that he was the one who got them into Disneyland. She later retracted the statement. Oh, really? Yeah, she later retracted the statement that he paid for it on his own time, claiming she didn't know if he actually paid money to get them in, but if he actually paid money.
Does it matter? I guess, does it matter whether
the initial statement from Shauna Watts was he paid for the Disneyland trip on his own dime, confirming it is him in the picture, right? It's not AI, it's not fake. It's him. No, that's Gordon Bowen. He's literally in the video where he admits to be, which we're going to show in a second, where he claims to be a part of the Temple Open House. He's literally wearing the same outfit, the same gray jacket, the same hat. Yeah. Right.
No, I'm laughing because this is their approach. Is like they want to start casting doubt about every piece of evidence, which is like me watching General Conference and then being like, how do you know that video of President Nelson wasn't AI generated? Right. It's like the arguments that they're starting to make are really desperate arguments. Okay, the picture is authentic.
That meme I made
the
about
documents are authentic. The journal is authentic. So let's address the authentic evidence that's in front of us instead of playing this crazy conspiracy game that you guys want to play all of a sudden. Okay.
Yeah, it reminds me of Chad. Your video.
What if the angel that came to Joseph Smith was AI generated?
I know, right? That is kind of where we're at this point with these guys.
The three witnesses, they were all deceived by Joseph Smith through AI.
Started using bleeding edge technologies like AI. Our enemies have started using bleeding edge technologies like AI, which means artificial intelligence.
All right, so now back to that one, because I believe Shauna Watts screenshot.
So I'm sure a lot of you are aware of this ongoing. Controversy that has divided people online that they're arguing about, where apparently the church posted some post of some kid talking about his interests, and it turns out he's gay, and he
likes photos of Boy Scouts kissing each other or something. I don't know. And we're seeing all these people like Jacob Hansen, like Ward Radio, like Quick Media, who I actually really like Quick Media stuff, talking about this controversy. It's like, is this what the church represents with its values? But none of these people, despite the controversy, seem to be willing to talk about Gordon Bowen, who Gordon Bowen also happens to be gay. In fact, the phone records in his divorce proceeding show he phoned a gay escort service about 1,000 times while watching his infant daughter, which is a red flag. But there is substantial evidence and accusations of him molesting children and inappropriately touching adult men who didn't want it as well. Not to mention in the Hamblin case, who David Hamblin was on tape confessing, admitting that he had raped his daughter. The daughters also accused Gordon Bowen of being involved in sexually abusing them. And recently, a whistleblower in Homeland Security came out with details about that case and why, despite there being an on-tape confession, it didn't make it to the courts because of some interference of people in Homeland Security, allegedly, who, let's just say, didn't want that bad look on the church. Now, Gordon Bowen, he's been paid millions of dollars by the church over the past 40 years. He's good friends with various apostles, plays pickleball with Elder Gong, and he went to Disneyland with them for something related to the Salt Lake City Temple open house, which...
That was it right there. Oh, you're on mute, Chad. You're on mute.
Actually, I think that was a screenshot where she's acknowledging the Gordon Bowen pickleball thing.
Okay.
I might have messed up what times I put the screenshots, so keep going,
Okay.
though, because I'm pretty sure I put that
Until
screenshot
recently,
there.
he was reporting online. He was the lead of the creative team for, and he's also...
This is important. This is hard to fake. Like, you could tell.
No,
like,
I faked it all, dude. It's conspiracy.
No,
Me and Justin Riggs were in on it together. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Someone's gonna take that out of
I don't believe
context.
you. I know they will. But yeah, this is valuable because it's like in the world of AI, in the world of like, you know, anything can be faked. What you're seeing here is you're seeing content. Like, as a marketer, like, I'm just speaking as a marketer, this is print for the promotion of Gordon Bowen, probably their event that they were going to have him speak at, and just the formatting of what's written on here is changed. You could see the format is, you could obviously see it's on a piece of paper, and sure, you could have anybody fake that, but it's still a lot of effort. Like, you could, I mean, I wonder when this photo was taken. Who took this photo?
So this was provided to me by somebody who was at the event, and they took that and they took a photo of it and sent it to me and said, "Hey, I'm here. Gordon Bowen just spoke and he talked about that." So this is an interesting part of this story that people need to understand, that Seth doesn't understand, is the chronology. Okay.
Yeah.
So that letter from the Quorum of the 12 Apostles was written on, was it June or July? Hold on one second. June 10th. Okay. So we do some shows. People start writing letters into the church office building. On June 10th, they start writing letters saying these lies of omission about Gordon Bowen is not the creative director. Yeah, that's not what Gordon Bowen claimed. Some people are inaccurately reporting this. Yes, but some people are accurately reporting it. Okay. And this kind of thing. What they didn't know is that we already knew that Gordon Bowen had spoken at this event, the Zion's Bank event, and had talked about being a part of the temple open house, but we didn't have the video yet. We didn't know that there was a video, but we had people who were at the event saying, like, we'll do this, but they weren't willing to go on the record because they're scared of Gordon Bowen and the church. After June 10th, a couple days after June 10th, we found the video of Gordon Bowen and we posted that video. So the church got caught with their pants down because they were trying to create the illusion that Gordon Bowen wasn't involved. But after that, we released the video of him from May talking about being a part of the temple open house. So if you're going to get involved in this research, you need to put things in time and space, because your conspiracy theory collapses once you understand when the evidence was unearthed, when it was presented, when letters were written, when videos were shown, and so on and so forth. You can't just come out and say everything's AI. That's not how this works.
Yeah, so continue the video. I believe
also on tape saying he is involved, though he walked back claiming to be
the lead.
I'm very pleased to have been working on the Temple Open House, but I'm certainly not leading it. And
the creative team. He's highly involved in this stuff. He's very good friends with a lot of very powerful people in Utah, but I don't see any of these people talking about this. So I'd like to ask why. It seems a bit hypocritical to pick on this random gay kid who I don't care if the church feature. It's not my problem. It's not my business. I'm not worried about it. When there's alleged human traffickers who are deeply involved in the church's rebranding away from the name Mormon and has been pushing it since the 90s. So what are your guys' thoughts on that? And that's another thing is that I'm sure a lot of you are aware of this ongoing controversy. So we have letters showing that Gordon Bowen is the one who's been pushing for a rebranding from the church away from the name Mormon since the 90s. He was also pushing, this is in the court documents, for them to change their logo to be more centered on Jesus. And what happens at the same time? When is it true that Gordon Bowen and Russell Nelson are in the same fraternity in college?
No, incorrect.
Sigma Chi. Russell Nelson wasn't Sigma Chi?
Russell Nelson was Sigma Chi. Gordon Bowen, as far as I know, never was a part of it.
He wasn't Sigma Chi. Okay.
No, but Russell Nelson and Russell Ballard were part of the same fraternity, and 7 of the 12 members of the Quorum of the Apostles were members of fraternities in 2004, which means that we have 7 of 12 apostles who joined quasi-religious secret societies that have their own sacraments, prayers, rites, rituals, oaths, clothing, so on and so forth. But that's a whole, I just did a show with We Are the People Utah, and that's 2.5 hours.
Well, maybe that's the real, hey, Justin, that could be the real holy order. Maybe that's why you were never called as an apostle, is because you weren't in Sigma Chi.
I was tapped. I was tapped to be Kappa Sig, but when they told me what they wanted me to do, I told them to shove off because I don't let people hold my private parts.
Did they want you to spank someone with a paddle?
And worse. They are some pretty perverted people, not going to lie.
You know, this is evidence that you're still very, very Mormon when you say you told them to shove off.
Oh, that's true.
Shove off.
Get out of here, you wily cats. Yeah, no, I'm still very Mormon in my heart. So, yeah. So look, it's another issue, but I think for tonight we'll just let that sit where it is.
So, I do want to play this because it was just so gold. Like, this is so critical.
When we caught it, like, want to know what? Like, I know I've told this story. So literally, I hear a voice in my head. It's like, because I had seen it online. I had been to the American Advertising Federation website, and I'm like told, you need to document this right now. And I go there and I notice like they're trying to edit it. And I immediately text Justin Riggs, you need to get out a camera and record it so that they can't say it's fake on the screen, and record this right now.
Wow. Yeah, it's so gold. Okay, we're going to play this. And just so everybody understands, and by the way, we are going to go through comments after we wrap up or while we're wrapping up. But it is super critical. Like, this is hard to fake. He's literally recording the screen of his. What kind of PC do you have, Justin?
It's like a Dell laptop or something.
Yeah, you can tell it's a Dell. So you see, this is the search results, the search engine. Gordon Bowen, Salt Lake Temple creative team. Way cool. Okay, so Justin definitely knows how to put some search terms in there, and let's play this.
So it seems like the LDS Church and the American Advertising Federation and Gordon Bowen are engaging in a little bit of memory holing. But if you go and search Gordon Bowen Salt Lake Temple Creative Team, they haven't had a chance to memory hole what they had up in the search results. So you can see here, Gordon Bowen AAF. Gordon leads the creative team for the Salt Lake City Temple Open House, opening spring of 2027, which expects to welcome 7 million visitors. If we click on the actual article and scroll down, they've taken it out of the paragraph here, right? So you can see it says Gordon was the creative director for the Olympic Games in Salt Lake City. He is also currently producing the Grace for the World ceremony on behalf of His Holiness Pope Leo XIV, marking the 2025 Jubilee year. It was right after that where it talked about his temple stuff. So they're trying to memory hole this right now. So, but we're capturing it all. We have screenshots and stuff, but wanted to make a quick video as well, just to show you.
It's crazy because it's valuable to know that, Seth he's right. You can go into the HTML. You can edit any kind of website, make it say whatever you want. But does this look like the actual like normal URL? Like, does this look like it's being
that's not, it doesn't
edited?
change the URL when you do that. I've done that before. I know how it works, but that's not
Yeah.
what this is.
No.
Like, he's on tape admitting that he's involved. So
yeah, he's on tape admitting that he's involved. And we just went from the Google search results and then to the website itself. And you did a great job actually, because you could literally see how we went from. You literally go. Your cursor's right there. You can click right on the cursor, and then boom, it's right there.
Well, I think
Like,
what Seth is
missing.
saying is that the Google search result, he could have gone into the HTML stuff and edited that. But like, you have screenshots on your Twitter of before it was edited, right? Like,
I do.
If you go and search Gordon Bowen Salt Lake Temple Creative Team, they haven't.
Hold on, I just want to watch this again. I just want to see. I want to see you click on the button. Click on the link.
AAF. Gordon leads the creative team for the Salt Lake City Temple Open House opening spring of 2027, which expects
here comes that cursor.
7 million visitors.
Here you go.
We click on the actual.
Yep. And look, see, the thing is it's hard to fake. Look at that cursor. It's still in the same place.
So look, I mean, here's the thing. It's just such a wild conspiracy theory that he's throwing out there that I almost want to take credit for what he's claiming, because I would be such a super genius if I pulled that off. If I somehow made it so that the Google search results said that he was a member of the creative team, leading the creative team, and then clicked on the link, and then the page behind the link wasn't edited. Like, I really thought that through, didn't I?
Hey,
so like, it's just
I'm going to be real though. Is I do take a little bit of a problem when, like, you were recording this video and you said Gordon Bowen and then the LDS Church. I think the challenge here when you add the LDS Church is you got to realize the LDS Church is seen in so many different lights, different understandings. Like, I'm the LDS Church. Chad is the LDS Church. We haven't been excommunicated. There is. Yeah, well, maybe you yet. I don't know. I think people are going to have a hard time.
I think they're scared to excommunicate me. You want to know why?
Why?
Because what they would excommunicate, I would make a big video excommunicated for calling out pedophile. I would expose them. I would make such a big deal. Because our insiders in the church office building have said that they are so scared of the Gordon Bowen story getting out. Like, they're making excuses like, what if they threaten violence against us? Honestly, I think that the punishment for people like Gordon Bowen in the court of law should be public execution.
Well,
that's my opinion.
I do think they'll have definitely a hard time excommunicating both of us. I mean, you only did, you got a slap on the wrist by going to the church office building. For me,
I got trespass. I can't go on property.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Did I not say trespass? So I'm saying that for me, it's just, they want me to disassociate. And it's funny because I get a little, and this is for another video, but I just get a little perturbed when people want me to disassociate with Shane or Zion Media when they don't realize I actually started Zion Media. I started Zion Media. People don't realize that. I literally was looking for someone to partner with. And when I met Shane and felt like he was the right fit, Shane came up with the Zion and I came up with the media. So I'm just saying, I'm the guy.
Here's the real question, guys. Why would the church be willing to excommunicate and trespass so many people that are talking about Gordon Bowen when they could write an actual letter and just acknowledge, hey,
because they know
we've been working with this guy for 40 years. Yes, we received letters telling us that Gordon Bowen was a pedophile. Yes, we had private meetings. Okay, Elder Ballard and Dallin Oaks had private meetings regarding concerns about Gordon Bowen. And they could just write a letter and say that and say, you know what, we're really sorry. We wish we hadn't done that. And they could pull a Tim Ballard on him and say, no more. We're just not going to do it anymore. Right. But for some reason, Gordon Bowen is so valuable to that corporation, or for other reasons that I don't understand, they're willing to take the sheep and let them toss them over the fence or trespass them and say, you can't come on the pasture anymore, to try to cover this up. And I think that that's an important piece of evidence that people need to weigh. Like, people's lives are being affected because they're willing to talk about this.
Well,
okay, it's not a game.
So, David, well, we're going to continue talking for a little bit, but there is a video. It's not directly related to Gordon Bowen. I just sent you that I'd like you to pull up because I'm going to make a point on this.
And I want to get to questions, just so you know. I want to give, because someone did have a really important question, and they asked what the goal was. Like, what's the purpose? Is it just to expose? Is it just to, cause? I don't know. I don't know what their question is, but I'd love to get into all the questions.
My goal is justice, and it enrages me. So as I've said, here's some context for me. I used to be like, when I first started out on Instagram, my page was growing very rapidly, and all of the LDS apologetics people, they loved me. They loved me so much. Anytime they had questions, anytime they had an argument, they would come to me.
People came to me too for Book of Mormon evidence too.
Right. And so as soon as I started even talking about anything controversial, like I shared my opinion, like I think, there's evidence Joseph Smith practiced polygamy, but if he did practice it, he said he condemned it by the end of life, and that upset both sides of people, right? And I think that we have this idolatrous prophet worship culture that extends to Joseph Smith as well. I love Joseph Smith. I think he was getting supernatural revelation, but I think that's the big problem with the polygamy argument is that you can't take that position where it's like, okay, maybe he practiced polygamy and later regretted it, which is what William Marks
shout out to President Nelson
and David Whitmer's would suggest. David Whitmer said that he was deceived and repented of polygamy. William Marks suggested the same thing. So it's like, hey, that's a way that you can take evidence from both sides of the polygamy argument, but it upsets both people because they hold Joseph Smith up on such a pedestal. Here's one thing I would say. Nobody since Joseph Smith, who's been a prophet of the church, has done anything that even compares to him. Even compares. Before I believe the Book of Mormon, I believe Joseph Smith was tapping into something supernatural. I did. And there's evidence of that. That the Book of Mormon has 28 distinct voices in it that is more distinct than any author can do because it is different people talking. So even if you don't believe, like I'll use this argument with like Catholics or Protestants, even if you don't believe he was by God, he was tapping into something supernatural, right? So I fully will believe that, but I don't hold him or anyone up on a pedestal. And I think the problem is that a lot of people's testimonies really is dependent on that. And that there are people who are scared that if this stuff is true, then the entire gospel will be false. I think that's the issue. And as time has gone on, literally me just having any sort of controversial opinions, I would get screenshots of particular like content creators and apologist people who, to my face at the same time, were still coming to me for advice about things, were talking crap about me behind my back, saying like, he's evil, he's an apostate, he's doing this. I'm sorry, if you guys don't like Zion Media, you're the ones who pushed me to go towards Zion Media because I wanted nothing to do with you guys because you were just slimy and dishonest people. I'm not talking about
who radicalized you, Chad. Who radicalized you?
They did. They radicalized me. And through the Gordon Bowen stuff, before all this came out, I knew stuff about this was going to come out. I knew there would be allegations of stuff long before, We Were the People started doing their, coverage of this sort of stuff. And I tried to warn people, and it got the same response. They just hated me. I still have screenshots of that group chat. And I'm literally saying like, hey, when this stuff comes out, you should go to these prophecies about corruption in the church and be like, see, Joseph Smith was right. See, the prophecies were right. But honestly, a lot of these people with their testimonies are just fragile little girls. That's the truth, is that they are fragile little girls with their testimonies who the slightest little breeze will make them fall over. And it's sad.
I agree with that.
It made me very disillusioned with the institutional church in general. But it's not all people are like that. But there's a reason why Utah Mormons is a derogatory term that people use. Because the Utah Mormons
when I first joined the church,
mentality.
When I first joined the church, I couldn't understand why people in my Palm Harbor ward in Florida would talk negatively about Utah Mormons. I'm just dude. Well, of course I do now, but now I live here and I see it. But I'm just saying, back then, though, I'm just giving you the perspective of convert. Is when I was a kid, I would just be like, man, I've got the restored gospel. I've got the church of Jesus Christ here, the Book of Mormon, Joseph Smith. I was so excited. And then I'd hear someone in the ward just like, dogging on the bubble, the Utah bubble. I'm like, what is going on? And now, it makes sense. And I get it.
Yeah, like here's the thing I've noticed with a lot of content.
Real quick, hold on. Let me just address this. What's the purpose for me? Okay, because I also want to run some cover for you guys. I think like I am 100% committed to truth and integrity. And I know that's really hard for people to hear from somebody who's been excommunicated to the church for apostasy. But the truth is, so what is the goal here? Exposure? Great. Wondering so I can help. Okay, the goal is to discover the truth and to disseminate the truth so that people can pray about it and make a decision about what they're going to do about the truth. So a prodigal son, okay, we are presenting a bunch of dots, okay, a bunch of data points. If I give somebody a piece of paper with a bunch of dots on it and tell them to connect the dots, everybody's going to connect those dots a little bit differently, okay? So we all have to take these dots, we all have to connect them, we all have agency, we're all moral agents, and then we need to take what we believe to be true to the Savior and the Holy Ghost. Allow the Holy Ghost to tell us what's going on. Part of the thing that bothers me so much is I've spent 3.5 years of my life arguing with people who won't simply get on their knees and pray to know what's true about Gordon Bowen and the brethren. Because I have go ahead.
I'll tell you, I'm so glad to say that we've had fans of Zion Media that have actually prayed about it and gotten confirmation by the Holy Ghost.
If you're a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, what else would you do with this information? Why are you arguing with me like a fraternity member and using sophistry, right? And asking me to be your research monkey? Like, there are hundreds of facts out there. Take some dots, draw a picture, pray, receive revelation like you claim to be able to do, right? And then let's have a conversation. But this whole game of being incredulous when you hear things that you don't want to be, but credulous when somebody tells you something that you want, is unbecoming of a priesthood holder or a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. You can do better, and you ought to do better.
Well, take down that comment. I don't want to call.
I just want to say, no, Rise Zion is not trash. Honestly, I'd say that look, Chad, he's just so sick of it. Rise Zion is not trash. I think Seth is actually a good guy, and even though a lot of people do, like I've talked to other podcasters, content creators, they don't like his stuff. Latter-day Saint content creators, because they really feel like that he just gives a lot of sensationalized stuff that's milquetoast. And honestly, I think again, this is nothing against you, Rise, or Seth, but there is some concern because I look at how many subscribers you have, which is 73,000, and I think that tells us the state of the church. That unfortunately they're more interested in being asleep, and that's kind of the vibe I got from your videos, Seth. Is that there's a lot of dismissal, and it was just putting people back to sleep. When Isaiah says himself, "Awake, awake," Zion. Like, dude, you should be sold out on Zion.
This is unrelated completely. I'm just looking at myself in the camera right now, and the shirt I'm wearing, the way my hair looks. I look just like Dante from the Devil May Cry anime right now.
Okay, all right.
I do. I look like Dante from the Devil May Cry anime right now. I'm just saying.
This is why people tell me I shouldn't come on this show. Like, this is exactly why, right?
Because I look like Dante from Devil May Cry.
Well, because anime or video games. You've claimed to look like Joseph Smith. You've claimed to look like Joseph Smith. You've claimed to look like an anime character.
I claimed that my hair was swept over like Joseph Smith. I don't think I look like him. Other people in the comments.
I love you. I think you're great. Shane and David Lander during something
more persecution.
More persecution.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't had any persecution as of late, so thankfully, we'll see what happens in the next few months. Here's another President Nelson nod. Hey, we're showing some love in the house for President Nelson.
No, but I did partake in the Black Supper, in case anybody was wondering. So, which President Nelson
Black
also?
Supper?
That's Sigma Chi, man. That's Sigma Chi's sacrament.
Yeah,
we'll talk about it another day.
Yeah, here's something I am going to say. So, Justin Riggs can confirm I am currently in contact with at least 3 people, maybe more, who have a much larger platform than us that want to cover the Gordon Bowen story. And you were in a group chat with one of those people today, correct? Going over this information, who's planning on doing it. And I've been in the works of this for months. And like I said, I tried to get the people, the content creators, to be like, hey, this is secret combinations like the Book of Mormon warns about. We should call this out. and nobody's going to. And I'm going to say, when other people start covering this stuff, and I'm doing my best to control the narrative so that this doesn't turn into like an anti-Mormon, ex-Mormon thing where we're all helping pedophiles. I'm being like, no. It's the Mormons that are calling this stuff out. We're trying to clean out our own church. I'm being very careful because one way or another, this story is going to get out. It's going to blow up. I'm also aware of people who don't really want to work with me necessarily, who don't like the church, who I've had some contact with, who are planning on covering this story, right? And the people in the church office building are very afraid of this story getting out. And so I'm saying if this stuff backfires and makes you guys look like a bunch of pedophile defenders, that's on you, because I've tried to help. I'm trying to control the narrative. And when this comes out on you, it's on you. All right? When this stuff comes out, it's on you. For example, you don't have to say who this is, but Justin Riggs told me about a very large content creator, has like 70,000 subscribers, who did a phone call with him. And that they were trying to secretly record the phone call, and he caught that. What was the conversation about? You want to tell that story without naming names?
Yeah, it was just an introductory conversation that they knew that the thing about Gordon Bowen was blowing up. They were concerned about satanic ritual abuse, and I was on the phone call.
They were pretending to be concerned about satanic ritual abuse.
Well,
I don't
yeah,
think they
maybe. Yeah, maybe. So, but then all of a sudden in the middle of the conversation, I heard a click and it said, "This call is no longer being recorded." And I said, "Are you recording this phone call?" So, and this guy was like, well, he just said, "Yeah, like I am. I'm so like, I'm sorry." And I said, "Look, I don't say anything that I never like. I never say anything. Like I'm about honesty and integrity. Okay. Even in my private conversations, I'm not going to say anything that I don't want to get out there, but like, just tell me that you're recording it." Okay. And this is a very well-known Mormon podcaster. It was a really very classic moment. Yeah. So
hey,
that was
I want to take a quick segue real quick. I know, I just want to make mention, thank you so much. I didn't get to see this, but there are now just 3 people waiting for a donate of lifetime. And I just saw this comment. I always think it's wonderful when people feel the spirit of donation. That is so genuine. So thank you so much. Now there's just 3 people that are waiting for a lifetime. If we could get those taken care of and be able to bless another person, that would be super rad.
Does anyone want to donate anything to Latter-day Chad? I recently broke my foot this week. I had a 45-pound weight guillotine my foot at the gym. So it went down this way, not the flat way, this way, crushed my toes. My big toe looks like an eggplant. I just washed it off earlier. I was on the phone with Justin.
Yeah, I had to go get you some medication.
So I'm just saying, it feels like donating to help out Latter-day Chad. But
he called me, Justin, just like I happened to be in the area.
I didn't cry, by the way. I did not cry when I broke my foot.
That's funny that's the thing you were like proud to say.
I didn't cry. I said some very choice words that wouldn't be found on an LDS stream. That start with various letters, all of the letters probably. I said a lot of different words as I limped out of the gym. But I'm fine now. It doesn't hurt anymore. But David, there is a video.
Yeah.
So we're here to talk about Gordon Bowen, y'all.
Yeah, well, just so you know, I will be answering this soon. I am preparing something, okay?
So David, I sent you a link to Brett Henry on Instagram, the bearded realtor, and the video that he did about Michael Jensen. And I'm going to give some context of what I know. Maybe Justin can give me some more context of this, but this is important for understanding the situation. And there is a very big point I would like to make with this particular story. So if you would mind pulling that up.
And I am here today because it's my job to warn you. There are many new people who don't know what's happened. And you have people that have enabled and protected a pedophile.
I think this is not the place to talk about it. I'd be happy to talk to you after. This is a testimony meeting where we have reserved to provide testimony. Okay. Actually, you're not.
Your children are not safe.
Be happy to
They hid a pedophile from the police along with Stephen when he was sent home from his mission.
That is not.
It is in the facts. No. You can check the transcripts from court.
Dude, I gotta say, like, I understand he's probably embarrassed about the meeting. Man, that guy's pretty big. And my concern is just that he's not comforting her This is so easy to solve. This
Well,
is
there's a
incredibly easy
different
to
point
solve.
I'd like to make with this. If you
Go ahead, please.
I believe
in my Christ too.
Okay, pause this right here.
Please no.
Pause it. Can you pause this? Okay.
Yeah.
So for context of this story, we're going to continue. Michael Jensen was actually convicted of molesting kids, and what I understand the story is that there were like stake presidents and people who were hiding him, who were aware of the sexual abuse, and they were moving him around to protect him. Is that right, Justin? Because I'm not as familiar with the story. You probably know
I'm not
more.
a Michael Jensen's case expert. I don't even know if this video is about Michael Jensen. If I'm
It
being
is.
totally
This is
honest.
about
But
Michael Jensen.
The basic story is that the church knew about Michael Jensen abusing, and they allowed him to continue to have access to children in the church.
Yeah.
So they were found liable for protecting Michael Jensen. But just yesterday, so if the church lost the lawsuit, then turned around and sued the insurance provider, saying that their insurance provider had to pay the settlement because they didn't want to take it out of the Ensign Peak funds or something like that.
Well, the real reason is because they don't want it on the record that they had to pay money for protecting a pedophile, which they absolutely did.
That's just too bad, because there's over 30 cases where the church has paid like tens of millions of dollars. That's on floodlit.org. I would encourage everybody to go look at that. So they can pretend all they want, but the church has been found liable over 30 times for protecting pedophiles. I just don't understand the Jacob Hansons of this world who want to talk about one person who works at the Curtin McConkie helpline and pretend like that proves that the church doesn't hide pedophiles and protect them and put children at risk. The actual court cases show conclusively that the church has spent an enormous amount of your tithing money paying out settlements and judgments showing that they are liable for protecting pedophiles. It's a matter of record.
Here's a point I'd like to make. So this is a case that ended in conviction. There were 40 kids that were molested, right? Something like that?
Over 50.
Over 50 kids that were molested. And he only got arrested because they literally caught him raping a girl in the parking lot. And they tried reporting this over and over, and they hid it. Did you know that Utah is ranked number 3rd in the nation for child sex abuse cases? Number 3 in the nation for child sex abuse cases. And despite that, it has an incredibly low rape conviction rate in all sexual abuse cases. So there are only 2 other states who have higher rates of child sex abuse than Utah, but it has one of the lowest conviction rates. And here's why I
gotta say, bro, I'll let you finish that. I love it when you have stuff to say, but I do need to say that this, brothers and sisters that are watching this is what's causing people to leave the church. The church, see, Justin Riggs loves the church. Chad loves the cool stuff about the Book of Mormon.
I love the cool stuff about the church, not the lame stuff.
The cool stuff. And for me, I'm 100% sold out on the Book of Mormon, Joseph Smith, and Jesus Christ. And so we have a church with leaders that are doing this, and I was hesitant to show this comment section, but the comment section is the truth. And the problem is that there's probably people that are talking about how they used to be members, or how they just are like, yeah, see, the church isn't true. And this is only making it worse when we have this kind of crap going on. And it's not just in Utah. So it's just...
Utah does have the 3rd highest ranking child sex abuse rate in the nation, and you can look this up. This is from the Huntsman Institute that actually did a study on this. Now, why is it that despite having the 3rd highest ranking of child sex abuse cases in the nation, Utah has one of the lowest conviction rates for all sexual abuse cases? Well, here's what I think happens. So-and-so is accused of molesting a kid. And they're like, he would never do that. He's a member of the church. And they don't even consider it. They don't even consider it. They go into the same conspiracy mode of the people who want to deny that Gordon Bowen's a pedophile. And there's the stuff like this, where the Curtin and McConkie abuse hotline, it goes to lawyers whose entire job is to protect the church rather than law enforcement. When you report a child sex abuse case to your bishop, they go to lawyers, not to law enforcement. And I think that's why. That's why there is such a low conviction rate, despite the incredibly high numbers of child sex abuse cases. I think the reason for the incredibly high numbers of child sex abuse cases is because they know they can get away with it. That's why.
Well, I can't imagine anything more tone deaf than starting to sing "I believe in Christ" when somebody is telling you that children have been raped.
Oh,
Like
more
that.
so
Like
that.
it's
Sorry,
just the most. It's just the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. Every time I see that video, I just want to scream, because like you have to be so out of touch with reality.
You mean this video?
The video, yeah. Where so like if you keep playing it, they start singing. The congregation starts singing "I believe in Christ."
It's very cringe. I can't handle it. I don't want to play it.
And so here's something on that as well. The woman, she says, "I believe in my Christ too." This is not an anti-Mormon woman who is standing up. This is a member of the church who believes in the church, and she's standing up in sacrament meeting saying the leaders in this ward allowed over 50 children to get molested and raped.
So
and they tried to cover it up.
Let's guess. What are the chances that she got a discipline for this afterwards?
I don't know. I think I heard that she got trespassed. That's what I heard.
Trespass, bro.
I remember hearing something like that. I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on it. But I vaguely remember, I think it might have been on We Are the People or something. Someone mentioned that somebody was trespassed over this. I don't know if it was that woman.
You can't speak up and be bold. You know, this goes on a video I did yesterday that I posted yesterday, is that, in my opinion, in some regard, it's not the whole church, but I think the majority of the church doesn't really touch on this, but they want you to stay as sheep, and the rest of the church isn't even conscious of what's going on. But the majority wants you to stay as sheep, and this lady is a lion, and the lions, even though they're protecting, which is what a lion does, she's getting kicked out. Chad, you're a lion. You got kicked out.
Well, I do have sharp teeth. I'm serious, I do.
Way more of this live stream has been about Chad's appearance than I ever dreamed it would be.
Well, here's something I'd like to note as well. So a lot of people
hey,
said,
just really quick, Chad. Really quick. I've got about 20 minutes left. I just want to know how much more we want to talk about Gordon Bowen, but go ahead and say what you were going to say. And then let's finish up with some Gordon
Say
Bowen.
what you need to say.
And I would like to finish that clip. But here's the point. Would as many people, I've heard people comment on my Gordon Bowen posts, well, you didn't have to go there and talk to that security guard guy about Gordon Bowen. You're just doing it for clicks. And I'm like, yes, I was just doing it for clicks, and it's gotten you talking about it, has it? How much did the Gordon Bowen website go up after I got kicked out?
A lot.
Oh, yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot.
Hundreds of percent. Like I was, the numbers went up a couple 100%.
Yeah, and now, so here's another thing. How many people are talking about that woman because of that case of Michael Jensen, where didn't the church pay like $60 million to try and get them to sign NDAs so they wouldn't talk about the sex abuse that happened on their watch?
How embarrassing. Dude, how embarrassing.
Because that woman got into sacrament meeting, this video went viral. They don't want people speaking up. I'm saying speak up. I don't care if it causes a scene at church. Justin Riggs might say not to, but the truth is, the only way this stuff is going to be talked about is if people are upset. That is the only way that anything is going to be solved, is that, and honestly, that's the only way that when this stuff gets out publicly, it's going to paint the church in a good light, is if we, the members of the church, are standing up to this stuff. Because we have two paths ahead. Either the Mormons are covering up pedophiles, or the Mormons are standing up to corruption in their own church. You have to choose which path it is. And I'm choosing, hey, I'm going to be on the team. We're exposing the pedophiles in our own congregations. We're exposing the corruption. I'm not going to go down as somebody doing that. History is not going to remember very well the people who were defending this. I would say, like, if Ward Radio watches this, Jonah Barnes should do a retraction where he said that the Miles case had no physical evidence. He claims that this case that involved President Nelson's daughter. It's his daughter, right? Not his granddaughter?
It was
his daughter.
Brenda Miles is his daughter, yes.
Brenda Miles, his daughter, allegedly molesting a group of children, and he claimed there was no physical evidence when the doctors who examined the children found physical scarring, and one woman who was one of the alleged victims had to have reconstructive surgery so that she could give birth because of the alleged sexual abuse that happened due to President Nelson's daughter.
That second woman was after. That didn't have anything to do with Brenda Miles, but because President Nelson inserted himself into that process, Bill Carstensen, a diagnosed pedophile, was able to go and molest several more children in his second marriage. So again, that's another, people can go watch my We Are the People Utah show on Dick and Brenda Miles. That one has like 70,000 views. It's something we're really proud of. So,
Dick and Brenda Miles are in the same ward as Mitt Romney, Gordon Bowen's good friend. And if Gordon Bowen wasn't excommunicated, I believe that would be the same ward, but then the ward was like split into 2 different wards. So technically he's not in that one. But isn't it weird that those people are like in the same like ward as each other?
That's the Sigma Chi stake.
The Sigma Chi stake.
That's where all of the people who join quasi-religious secret orders all gather together, is in the Cottonwood stake, and then over in the Harvard-Yale area of Salt Lake. So
very interesting.
I want to comment on this. Love at the heart. I mean, it's interesting sometimes, and I'm not going to knock you, but I do think it's concerning. It is interesting. One, just, you know, I don't know. The point here is that, yes, there is a difference between sharing a testimony and warning people. And I think there is a testimony that also warns people. And you could say there's a place for it. But honestly, you know, I'm going to go back to something that has been amazing and interesting in the woke era, is that I remember watching Trevor Noah, and I don't watch a lot of woke stuff or liberal stuff, but before COVID hit, I was watching Trevor Noah, and race became a thing. And it's like, when is it appropriate? Because you can go to your bishop and bring it up, and then it doesn't get addressed. It gets swept under the rug. You can go to your stake president, and then it gets swept under the rug. You know, and I mean, I had my own personal stake president experience where, you know, I was told that, you know, I was actually really actually surprised that leaders don't have to follow the handbook. So if that's not the right time to talk about it in front of your stake president, if it's not the right time to talk about it, like if nothing happens when you talk about it with your bishop, and I mean, what are you just going to go ahead and talk about it with all the ward members?
Well, yeah, there's 2 pieces to this. I want to share a story. So when I was an elders,
I appreciate this, by the way. Go ahead.
When I was the elders quorum president, I was at a ward council meeting where the bishop came in and said, "Hey, we have a sexual predator who's just been released from prison who wants to come back to church." And he said, "You cannot tell any parents that this sexual predator is present in the ward." Okay. So there's not a time and a place in the church, because they wanted to respect the man's privacy. They felt like he had served his time and that nobody should know. And
that's interesting. I said, that my stake president didn't think, in the 70s, didn't think Shane served his time.
Well, yeah. So like I said, there's not a place or a time, but I do want to say this is something that Seth brought up in his show. And the thing that concerns me, Chad, about telling people to go and do this kind of thing is that Seth brings up this concern that people have about there being violence at the church. And we know that that's happened to chapels and to members of the church recently. And so like, I never want to be seen as somebody who's encouraging people to disrupt other people's sacred experiences. And so like, I know we just have a difference. We have a difference of opinion here, and that's okay. But like, I want to be extremely clear that like, there is a time and a place, but unfortunately the church doesn't provide that. And so you're going to have to find times and places to do it that put pressure on the church, which is the only place you can put pressure on the corporation is through the dollars funneling in or hurting their brand.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. What you said earlier. I would say.
So on that, I want to say I condemn any violence. If you were to do any sort of violence over this stuff, you're going to hurt the cause more than help it. I would find it more likely that there would be a false flag thing to where it's an act of violence. You see, these people are dangerous rather than doing that. I'm of the opinion, not necessarily a false flag, that what Satan did with Chad Daybell, it was so that anyone who's questioning the church's authority, they accuse them of being Chad Daybell. Like, see, you can't believe that, you're Chad Daybell, right? But here's what I would say. Make me big on this.
Okay.
No, this is going to be a soundbite. I want to be big on this. Here's what I would say about the woman interrupting the sacrament meeting. I want each and every one of you watching this right now to ask this. How many thousands of people know about this issue now because that woman did that. Yes, she did disrupt it, but anytime someone tries to speak up about this stuff by going to their bishop, by doing any of this stuff, they get shut down. How many thousands of people are aware? That guy who's working with Tucker Carlson on the documentary exposing corruption in churches, he reposted that. This is a big guy working with Tucker Carlson. He reposted that clip. He's aware of this now. How many thousands of people are aware of this problem because that one woman stood up? How many thousands of people are aware of Gordon Bowen now because I got kicked out of the church office building? Yes, I was absolutely doing that for clicks. Not only that, I will go on the record and say, me going down the church office building, getting kicked out, it was 100% premeditated. You can ask David Douglas. I talked about doing that for about a year before I did it, right? And I knew one day I would have to do something like that. I knew it. And because of that, how many people are aware? The truth is, people are scared to actually stand up for anything. And I think that's wrong. Captain Moroni, he was a lot more harsh than me. Captain Moroni was the exact same age I am now. So if you want to see what Captain Moroni was like, look, this is Latter-day Captain Moroni, right? I'm the same age. He was someone Latter-day Chad's age who was going, and he was literally threatening to like physically harm the Nephite leaders and kill them for associating with the secret combinations. Now, I'd say I'm a lot softer than Captain Moroni. But
Captain Moroni didn't break his foot by dropping a plate on it, by the way.
Captain Moroni did. I'm softer. He wouldn't have broken his foot. He would have broken the weight. But the point being, the Book of Mormon says, if all men were like unto Moroni, the devil would never have power over the hearts of men. And I don't see a lot of Captain Moronis in the church. I see a lot of people. The Book of Mormon does not teach to blindly follow authority. The Book of Mormon teaches to stand up to corruption and authority among your own people. And that is one of the main things.
Oh my goodness. Thank you.
And I'm saying right now, listen, this is another thing. This is one theological point I've gone back and forth with Shane on that I disagree with. I don't think that the servant of the vineyard is the same thing as the Davidic servant. I don't. I also don't think necessarily that the one mighty and strong is the Davidic servant either. I think in Isaiah 28, you want to know what it says? The one mighty and strong is the army of the king of Assyria. And it says that the one mighty and strong will cast them down by the hand. And then that terminology is used again as a future prophecy in the Doctrine and Covenants. And what's happening in Isaiah 28 is that because the people of Ephraim won't repent, the Lord sends his left hand to teach them a lesson, which is the hard way. It's like, okay, these guys aren't going to repent. We're going to teach them the hard way. And that's what one mighty and strong actually refers to. I think it's the strength of the Lord's house. I think it's you. I think it's all of you. I think that the only way anything changes in the church is if the people stand up. I'm saying that's the strength of the Lord's house. I'm not going to wait for Joseph Smith to return or any other person to say, let's do it now. And then Joseph Smith magically shows up and saves everybody. I'm not waiting for that. I'm saying you right now, you need to choose to be chosen, whatever that means, whatever it takes to convince yourself that this is something you're supposed to be doing, to stand up. Because I want each and every one of you to think of this. Think of the lives that people like Gordon Bowen have permanently ruined. With Michael Jensen, over 50 kids were molested and raped by him. Their lives are permanently affected, right? Even just what I'd say is like regular sexual abuse can scar somebody for life, can fracture their mind, can permanently hurt them. And it is horrible, and it is disgusting, and it is evil. And anybody, like Gordon Bowen, maybe he was MK Ultra or something, and that's why he has a dissociative mind. Maybe this dude's brainwashed. I don't know. But the people who, and this is a trend I see with LDS apologists, is they think that the greatest evil in the world is literally somebody who disagrees with the doctrine of the church. That's Satan's plan, is disagreeing with the official position of the church, which is constantly changing based on this and that, and they're not actually receiving any revelation to clarify the doctrine, but we believe in ongoing revelation, and it makes no sense. No, this is the greatest evil. I don't care if you're a Hindu. I don't care if you worship Thor and Odin. I don't care if you're Catholic. I don't care if you're Protestant. This is evil, and all of us need to team up and agree that this is wrong, and we need to stand up. You guys You're the strength of the Lord's house. And what D&C 101 says, it says to tear down their watchtowers and scatter their watchmen and redeem my vineyard.
I just want the church to invest as much money in people helping abuse victims as they do in financial planners.
I don't think they're going to do that. I think that's
all I want. I just want the church to show that they follow Jesus Christ by doing the things that Christ did, instead of investing my tithing money in shell companies and growing a $350 billion company that has nothing to do with Zion. Like, I don't feel like I'm being.
I just want the church to believe in the Book of Mormon and take it seriously.
I want people to be willing to actually stand up and have values, because you can talk about Jesus Christ all you want. When Jesus Christ was on the earth, and I'm not telling anybody to do this, in fact, I'm going to specifically say don't do this, but he went down to the temple and with a whip and chased out the money changers. And I made a little joke.
You're violent, Chad. You're so violent.
I went down. I made a joke one time.
I know a good therapist. I know a good LDS therapist I could send you to. His name's Tom.
Is it David Hamblin?
No, Tom Harris. David Hamblin. Him too. You should go.
David Hamblin. Is he going to cure me? Is he going to put? Is there evil
I wouldn't go in. I wouldn't go in a room.
Needs to cure.
I wouldn't go in a room alone with David Hamblin. I'm just going to say.
But the point being, don't do anything violent, obviously. But I think the only way anything is going to happen is if people stand up. And I think the best case scenario for the reputation of the church when this stuff comes out majorly, which it's going to, I can say for a fact that I know for a fact Candace Owens is aware of the David Levitt, David Hamblin, Gordon Bowen case. I know because I'm in contact with somebody who's in contact with Candace Owens. And so when this stuff comes out, the best case scenario is to be like, see, the Mormons are standing up to this stuff. They are standing up to corruption in their own thing. And you got a choice to make, because history is going to remember this, and you have to decide how history is going to remember you. And that's what I would say on that.
Yeah, because otherwise, if we don't speak up enough, eventually when the world does notice, the biggest challenge we're going to have is being associated with the pedophiles.
Yeah, and so this isn't just
that's where it's going.
This stuff isn't just the church. It's everywhere. Well, Gordon Bowen wasn't convicted. Neither was anybody on the Epstein client list. And Thomas Nassie in Congress showed various famous people that were listed as co-conspirators with Jeffrey Epstein who have not been prosecuted because powerful people control the courts. But there are more of us than there are of them. We are more powerful. We are stronger. The only thing is the illusion that we have no power, but we have the power. We are the power.
It's sitting with us.
And that's the truth, is that we made, Justin, you told the words that your insider who had information with the church office building said was that they are restless over the Gordon Bowen stuff, correct? That was the exact word?
As they were writing letters, that was what I heard, is that they were restless and concerned.
And that was just by people writing letters and calling into the church office building. You have made them budge. You're David, and you've made Goliath budge. That's the truth. So you need to keep pushing. You are the strength. You need to keep pushing. It's not me. I'm just a voice. I'm just a person speaking up. I'm just a spokesman saying this stuff. But you're
just like the messenger.
You guys are the ones who are doing this and making this happen. Each and every one of you, you're important. Every letter you've written, every call you've made to the church office building, don't stop. It's up to you. All right?
Honestly, if you've wrote a letter, the idea is to keep writing.
Keep it up.
Keep writing.
Keep pushing.
You're not done until this is done.
And make it clear, it's not anti-Mormons who are talking about this. It's not ex-Mormons. It is people who believe in the Book of Mormon who are like, it said there's going to be secret combinations.
Yeah, what Josh Aaron, I'm not sure if he realizes this is the Lord's work and the timing. What did Abinadi, was that the Lord's work when Abinadi went up against the leaders of his day? What about Samuel the Lamanite, the literal black guy amongst the Nephites? What was it? Was it the Lord's timing when the Lord told Abinadi to go to Zarahemla?
Well, let me address this. Hold on a second. Let me address this scripturally, because I think Josh Aaron has a good point. but everybody has a good point here. Everybody needs to go and read the entire section of D&C 123, because everybody knows the first part where it talks about exposing the secret works of darkness and cheerfully this and cheerfully that, but nobody reads.
Does everybody know that?
Well, everybody that I talk to. But what they don't know is that verse 17 says this: therefore, dearly beloved brethren, let us cheerfully do all things that lie in our power. So that's the action part. That's the Chad, Latter-day Chad part, right? You have to do everything that lies in our power. But then it says, and then we may stand still with the utmost assurance to see the salvation of God and for his arm to be revealed. And I think that's what Josh Aaron is saying. And so, like, as everything in the gospel is, there's opposition in all things. And we have to decide, what is everything in our power that we can do? I don't feel like I've done everything in my power to help expose Gordon Bowen and his relationship with the brethren. But at some point, I'm really tired. And I've given up a lot. And I'd really like to be able to stop and stand still with the utmost assurance that the Lord is going to deliver us from this situation, this awful situation that we find ourselves in. So, like, instead of arguing about this, like, let's go to our standard works and look and see what it has to say, because you're both right. We have to do everything in our power, but we also have to find a time to stand still and let the Lord do his work on his timing.
Well, here's something I'd like to read from Alma. I believe it's 60 or 61. It's loading up on my thing, but there is a part where Moroni, he's writing his letter to Panharan, exposing the secret combinations, and he literally digs into them.
To who? Panharan?
Is that his name, Panharan? I've never.
Pahoran,
whatever his name.
Pahoran.
So Alma 60, verse 7. Can you think that to sit upon your thrones in a state of thoughtless stupor while your enemies are spreading the work of death around you? Verse 11. Behold, could you suppose that you could sit upon your thrones, and because of your exceeding goodness of God, you could do nothing, and he would deliver you? Behold, if you've supposed this, you've supposed in vain. That's Alma 60:11. Alma 60:13. For the Lord suffereth the righteous to be slain, that his justice and judgment may come upon the wicked. Therefore ye need not suppose that the righteous are lost because they are slain, but behold, they do enter the rest of the Lord. Right? Verse 22 and 23. Yea, will ye sit in idleness while ye are surrounded with thousands of those, yea, tens of thousands who do sit in idleness, while there are thousands round about in the borders of the land who are falling by the sword, yea, wounded by bleeding. Do ye suppose that God will look upon you guiltless while you sit and behold these things? Behold, I say unto you, nay. And this is about the secret combinations, when he's digging in that you guys aren't doing anything about the secret combinations. And here's something I would like to say, an experience I had, and I might have told David about this. So when the stuff about Wade Christopherson came out, that day I remember where I was. My phone was dead, and I was walking home. Now, for context, I was familiar that We Are the People was going to be coming out with stuff about this. Tim Ballard was talking a lot about SRA and exposing stuff and stuff, right? And as I'm coming by, this is a true story, I've had times where I receive revelation. I always check. My standard for revelation is it actually something supernatural that I can't explain, or is it just a random thought that popped in my head? And so I hear a voice in my head, and I believe it's the voice of the Lord that says, I'm done waiting for you guys. I'm going to begin exposing stuff myself. And immediately he's like, I'm done waiting on others to expose stuff. It's not word for word. I'm going to expose it myself. I immediately get home to my apartment. I put my dead phone on the charge. And once it's charged to like 1% and turns on, the first thing I see is people sending me the link to the Wade Christopherson stuff. Minutes after that comes into my head. Now you can say it's a coincidence. I think the Lord's waiting on us to actually stand up. I think the Lord, as the book of Mormon describes, he doesn't want to suffer the cries of vengeance from the dust anymore. That is what the Book of Mormon is warning about. I think the Lord is waiting on us to be like Captain Moroni and actually stand up to this stuff. That's what I believe. And that's what I would say, is that one way or another, we need to stand up to this stuff. And we need to show, because here's the thing. I'm going to do a whole thing about this. I believe that this stuff is outside stuff that has infiltrated in the church. I truly do. I don't believe it's the church's fault. I believe it's outside influences that have infiltrated the church. Now, are we going to let our enemies infiltrate us, humiliate us, make a mockery of us, and let us be pushed around? I say no. Let's not sit by idly. Let's actually do something. Let's stand up. And this is one reason why I would say, for different reason than Shane, we don't give up on the church. Shane says we need the church to build Zion. I say, let's not go down without a fight. And if we give them the church, then we're giving up. We need to take the church back from them to show them who's boss. That's what I say.
I like that. Thank you. Boy, let's go through some questions. And I think we've got a lot of comments.
I'm gonna get some water and a banana though, because my voice is hoarse from all the talking.
Yeah. One person asks, "Do you know how demonic Disney is?"
Club 33. Club 33.
Yeah.
No, we know a little bit about it.
They're like, and now this makes sense. This connected the dots for me. Disney was a 33rd degree Mason. I never understood.
So was Joseph Smith, right? So was Joseph
well, that's
Smith.
what some people say. But yeah, so let's see.
Keep going. This is fun. I like this part.
Yeah. I think that this is interesting. Excuse the swear word. I mean, obviously they wanted to be heard. But yeah, don't lose your blessings over people like Gordon Bowen. I mean, I don't know about losing blessings. I mean, really the people who speak up about Gordon Bowen are doing the work of the Lord. They are exposing the tares. They are sifting the wheat. They are basically being the lions. Do you know what section or chapter 16 of 3rd Nephi literally talks about? It says that the young lions go in between the sheep and they tear them apart. And what is it? What do you think about that verse, Justin? What does that immediately make you think of when you hear that verse?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it means we can't sit on our laurels and just let things happen around us, And I just want to address what Naughty Bot said here too, because I did lose my blessings in part because I wouldn't stop talking about Gordon Bowen. I have a recording with my stake president where he gets so exasperated and he says, Gordon Bowen, all you want to talk about is Elder Ballard and Gordon Bowen. And but I just want people to understand that I did lose my blessings, but I've also never felt closer to Jesus Christ in my life, nor have I ever.
So did you really lose your blessings?
I don't know. That's a whole nother topic, right? But what I know is that I'm prepared to meet my Savior and look him in the eyes and say, when I found out that a man was desecrating your name by talking about being mounted by you, I stood up for you, even though I had to stand up to the leaders of my church in order to do so. So I appreciate what Naughty Bot is trying to say there, but my lived experience, my anecdotal experience, is that you should be willing to lose your blessings for a guy like Gordon Bowen, because he's that bad.
Is the Savior? I mean, honestly, when we're following Jesus Christ, he doesn't say that it's going to be easy. And in truth, all the apostles died in the New Testament. They all died. So really, he said in the Beatitudes, he says, those that suffer for my name's sake, those are the ones that actually get the blessings. So we need to go take it back to Jesus Christ here. I'm surprised, Chad, that you're not drinking half and half. You're drinking water.
Well, I didn't find the half and half. I mean, I'm not as familiar with this studio as the old one. Here's one thing I want to say on that.
Wait. On what I just said? On the fact that
response to this comment, actually.
Okay, not yet then, because I'm trying to state that for folks that are following Jesus Christ, they are willingly following the hard path. You are not following Jesus Christ when you're not willing to follow the hard path. You can't follow Jesus. Like, Chad, you said it beautifully in that video when you got kicked out of the church office, the building. You can't follow Jesus Christ and Gordon Bowen. So same thing is, you can't follow Jesus Christ or say that you're following Jesus Christ and be okay with stuff like this.
Yeah. And here's one thing I want to say. In my opinion, any of the leadership of the church or people that were involved with covering up the abuse by Michael Jensen or Gordon Bowen, they're going straight to hell, in my opinion. I don't care. The fact, this stupid idea, I've had my calling and election made sure, so I can't do anything wrong. That's a false doctrine. It was never taught by Joseph Smith. You need Jesus Christ to make your calling and election sure, by the way. The washing of your feet, it's not sufficient. Your second anointing, it's not doctrinal. It wasn't taught by Joseph Smith. It's made up, right? This is what I'm going to say. you have a higher responsibility. If you're in any leadership position and you let this stuff slide, you have a higher responsibility and you are going to be held accountable before God. All right. And if I don't take a stand for this stuff that I know is wrong, that disgusts me, I will be held accountable. All right. We are in a war.
You will be held accountable.
Good versus evil. That is what this world is. Satan is the god of this world. And I can't live with myself if I don't take a stand for these things, if I don't speak up.
I love this comment. We are in a preparatory period, and guess what? It's not the kind of preparation where you sit on your rear and watch everybody else do the work. It's a kind of preparation to see, will you stand up and do your part? That's holy crap, Chad. What the heck, bro? This is the real preparation. The real preparation is speaking to your church leaders and writing letters to church leaders and saying that this is not okay. You're about to have your temple literally hit on, it's literally on top of other additional levels. That's what I'm hearing from people. People are saying that there's additional levels underneath the Salt Lake City temple. I don't know what's true, and I don't really care too much about it, but I am getting other people saying that, honestly, like, if you look at, we had Mike Rigby on, and he told us in a video that he had a vision where there was a great earthquake that hit Salt Lake City. And it was so bad that his vision, he had seen that the whole city was destroyed.
You want to know what I think?
And he remembered that it would happen in October. Do you guys know? Now, I'm not calling it, but I'm just saying, do you guys know when the end of the celebration, when the end of the open house ends?
October
2027.
Well,
I've lived through too many earthquake predictions, but
yeah, you want to know what I think? Happens. I don't think it's a literal earthquake. I think this is the earthquake. Because here's something funny.
I sure hope so.
So a lot of people have talked about like the visions of glory, earthquake stuff, or whatever, and it's very funny. I don't want to stroke my own ego when I say this. It's just a funny coincidence. I had multiple people claiming that many people who had seen that earthquake saw that it started at the fault line in Tremont.
Oh.
You want to know where I'm from? Tremont. So if I get all this stuff to blow up, that's the earthquake. And it starts at Tremont. I'm just saying. I'm not saying that to stroke my ego. I'm just saying I think the earthquake that's going to happen is not necessarily, like, there might be literal physical earthquakes. I know that, like, the big one is overdue in California and stuff. I think that's where Tom Harrison got off track, is that this is what Jason Preston saw in a video, and I agree with it. I love the first part of Visions of Glory. I think it's great. He said he enjoyed it a lot. I think some of the stuff later on gets weird. I think it's because there's a lot of symbolic stuff later on that he didn't do it.
I didn't say anything about Visions of Glory.
But everyone, when they think of the earthquake, it's obviously, Tom Harrison saw that. Like,
that was Mike Rigby.
That it's the vision.
When you have when you have one or 2 to 3 witnesses, everything shall be established.
I don't think it's going to be a literal earthquake. I think that his description of like stuff in the spirit world and those out of body experiences.
Are you dismissing, Chad? Are you dismissing like Seth has?
I'm saying I don't think it's a literal earthquake. I think that the shaking of the church that's going to happen, because this Protestant pastor in February, he claims he's a prophet. He's from Canada. This evangelical guy, he said he had a vision of a massive shaking that's going to shake the nation that comes out of Utah, and that there's going to be all this pedophile stuff that's exposed in Utah. That's why I think the shaking is. I think it's going to be the corruption in the church being exposed. And I've said this for a while. I believe it's going to shake things. And I think it's planned by God. I think that the Lord has allowed corruption to come upon even the deepest parts of his house, so that men can learn they can't trust on the arm of flesh, so that to tear down their false idols in their sight, to turn them back to him. That's what I believe is going to happen.
So Justin, I know you got to get going. I just wanted to see if you had any last words that you wanted to share before popping on.
First of all, just thank you. Like, this is so fun and like such a different atmosphere that I'm used to. So I really appreciate the energy, and it's a joy to be here with you guys. So I do want to just try to address really quickly sort of my position on Seth at the end. I think Seth is really happy right now because we spent over an hour talking about things other than Gordon Bowen and a little less than an hour talking about Gordon Bowen. So, but I want to address a couple things. So Seth claims that it's our burden of proof. Okay, but I want to reiterate that it's not our burden of proof because we're not the ones who made the claim. Gordon Bowen is the one who made the claim to be leading the creative team for the Salt Lake Temple Open House in multiple places, and then said in a talk that he was involved. So it's the church's job and Gordon Bowen's job to set the record straight. Okay, if they're going to do that, they need to stop lying. Okay, and I know that there's a difference between a lie of commission and a lie of omission. The church is lying by omission. And the reason they're lying by omission is they desperately don't want you to understand the relationship that they've had with Gordon Bowen over the last 40 years. Over a dozen apostles and over 20 general authorities have had close relationships with Gordon Bowen, and the church really doesn't want to have to address that. Okay? The final thing is I want to use Seth's words because I think he gets it really right. He says, faithful Latter-day Saints should not fear legitimate investigation. Okay, I commend Seth for showing up and trying to talk about this. All I'm saying is that you didn't do enough investigation. And so I would invite Seth and all these other podcasters who are telling me there's a story there, but we're just too scared that we're going to get sued. Continue to investigate, continue to pray, continue to strive to know the truth about Gordon Bowen and his relationship with the brethren. I am so confident that good Latter-day Saints who do the proper amount of investigation and take it to the Lord will come over to our side on this topic, because I'm telling you, after 3.5 years of researching this, Gordon Bowen is not the type of person that should be working with Mormon prophets and apostles. So I'll just leave it with that. And thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you
for letting me be here tonight.
Yeah, you're super gracious, and honestly, Seth should be super thankful for you. You're more gracious than probably a lot of folks. So, Chad, I think we could wrap up. Do you have any remaining words?
No, I think I said everything I need to say.
Yeah, it's about 9:17. Guys, thanks so much for being a part of this live stream. I know we didn't honestly, Shane does a way better job at getting to questions, but thank you so much for getting on here. And we didn't get any super chats, but it's okay. We're thankful for you guys being here. I appreciate this comment. I appreciate that. And I also appreciate someone catching that Chad was mewing. He was definitely mewing. So anyway, thanks so much, guys. Appreciate all of you. You are the ones that make Zion Media and the strength of the Lord's house. So appreciate all of you. We will basically wrap up here. As for myself, David the Lion Douglas, Latter-day Chad, and Justin Riggs, we'll see you next time.